Welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 158. Today is Saturday, February 16th, 2019. And today we will be discussing the Baldesion arsenal. Did I say that right? I didn't even practice that. I didn't even think about
Don't
what it
worry.
was. Okay.
I'm gonna say it wrong like 10 times during the show, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. If you guys don't know what MogTalk is, we're a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community that discusses everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And we have some wonderful guests on today. We have a full house. Let me go ahead and introduce them so you guys know who's talking. I'm going to go kind of clockwise here. So I'm going to start with Mr. Perez. Perez, can you tell everybody who you are?
My name is Perez Replay on the Gilgamesh server. I am also a council member for Elysium. Play a shit ton of warrior. Been a warrior for 5 years now. Basically, all you need to know about me is that I like to meme a lot and never to take me seriously. So if I say something super stupid on this show, just make sure you don't take it seriously.
Okay. I'll do my best not to be offended.
Thank you.
Yeah. And next we have Sfia.
Just Sfia. Sfia's easy.
Sfia. Everybody,
Yeah.
Tell everybody who you are, Sfia.
All right, I'm similar boat, Elysium, Gilgamesh, Ether, the universe. I'm a council member, Black Mage main, and have been raiding hardcore for a couple of years now.
Okay, excellent. And then next we have here with this wonderful picture of Layla. Layla, how you doing, buddy? Tell everybody who you are.
I'm doing pretty good. Nose is a bit stuffed today, so you know.
Sound a little nasally.
But yeah, I'm glad to be here as always. Always fun to come on your show, Frost.
Yeah, man. Love to have you here.
I'm Layla. I play tanks. I've been in Elysium since the beginning. I've been playing the game since the beginning. I like MMOs. The end.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then last, you guys have seen him on about probably 20% of all of our shows, Mr. Balana Rao. Tell everybody who you are, dude.
Hi, yes, I'm Balana. I like to play the casters, mostly the summoner. And I've been on the show like 20 times now. So hi, how you doing, Frosty?
Yeah.
Good to see you again.
Doing good. Did you get the steak set? Or steak, not steak, steak knife set?
Those haven't shown up yet. Must have gotten lost in the mail, you know. I moved, like 6 months ago, and they didn't show up then. So,
I gotta talk to my PR company. Sorry, dude. I'll figure out what's going on.
All right, I'll hit them up. I'll get in touch with them.
Okay, cool.
What's Kara's Discord?
Exactly. She's the only PR rep I got. The only person who keeps me sane. Anyways, guys, we have just to let you guys all know, Perez has about an hour and a half on the show before he has to go to work, but he was in charge of a lot of stuff with organization and making all this stuff happen, with getting NA World First here for Baldesion Arsenal. And so I wanted to make sure he was on so we can get his thoughts and opinions on a couple different topics here before he had to bolt out. But since that's the kind of first question I want to ask, how organizing kind of a community event, I don't know if you guys were super prepared for this, or you're like, hey, we got 60 or 56 people set, ready to go. How did you come about organizing everything, Perez?
Okay, so when we first were planning on doing this public dungeon, there was no expectation that, well, at least for me, that 56 players were actually required to do this dungeon. I think everyone was under the impression that it's like, oh, we can kind of just go in with like 24 people. 56 is just kind of like the cap. And I don't mean to speak on everyone's behalf, but that was my impression. So I had no inclination to like start up a Discord, get 56 people like ready to do this content, because I did not think it was necessary. But after our first attempt at the East and West spear guy, I think we quickly realized that, like, okay, we actually need like a lot of bodies for this. So what ended up happening was Sammy threw out the idea, is like, should we make a Discord for this? And Sammy is a provider for Elysium. So she made a Discord, which now houses like close to 1,000 people, over 1,000 people. Like, it's insane. Like, basically, what I did was, well, I actually don't know if I made this idea, but someone suggested the idea to make 6 different Discord channels to represent the 6 different teams of 8. And what we did is we split those teams into those discords, and they basically got ready amongst themselves. And then what I would do is I would hop into Discord, and check up on them, make sure they're 8 out of 8. And then whenever they were full and ready, we had a different Discord for the party leaders to hop up to and basically just coordinate queues. Because like that's probably the most difficult part and the most inconsistent part to the Baldesion Arsenal, is because you can't guarantee everyone to get into the same instance. You can do a pretty good job at like, mitigating, error. However, there's no 100% everyone will get into the same instance. So we pull all our players, make sure they're all 8 out of 8, do ready checks and stuff like that. And then we go in with our 6 to 7 parties. The 7th party acts as a support group, which is actually very necessary if you want to get like consistent, clean Ozma kills, in case like people that have no clue what, Ozma is. Like you want 7 groups, because you queue in with 48, but the limit is 56. So you want to have that group of 8 on standby, ready to go in as a support group. So they'll kill the NM outside. In case people don't know how it works, you kill an NM outside, and then 8 new portals spawn. And those 8 people, ideally in the support group, will hop onto the portal and join us. So, sorry, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. So basically, once all 56 people are good and ready, we all queue into the same instance, and our success rate for actually getting into the same instance is starting to get lower and lower, with more and more people trying to do the same stuff that we're doing.
Yeah, we actually ran into an issue when we had like 3,000 people watching our streams, that they would all queue at the same time as us.
Oh.
We had to like hide the streams when we were queuing in, because we were just getting the zones would just fill up instantly. One group would get in.
JP had the same issue. Both JP actually, so we just hit our streams. JP actually just shut their streams off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of level 60s and people are doing the Baldesion Arsenal, effectively you're giving the rest of the zone 2 free fates that are going to get blown up really quickly. So everyone wants that. The level 60 ones, max XP, max crystals. People have a lot of reason to get into that. Yeah.
Right. Geez, so basically you guys were battling, it's funny because you kind of have to go in with people that's going to try to do it, because people are going to run up and be like, hey, I'm going to click on it and go in as soon as I can because I want to do it. I don't give a fuck about these people, but I have the ability to click on it. Why do I care if I mess up what they're doing?
And that kind of like leads into, like organizing 56 people. Like, it's only easy to do so because people are being like cooperative and are like patient in joining in. You do have instances where people like don't really care about what's going on in the discords, and like people actually trying to coordinate. It's funny because people actually can take that as like, us. I read a comment. My static leader made a quick write up on what you should do to prepare for the Arsenal and all that stuff. And someone commented, is like, that's kind of pretentious of you for, thinking that you get the rights to the portal and yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, okay, well, first of all, you're not, putting in the effort to actually go into the Arsenal, right? You have 56 people that went in with the intention of doing the Arsenal. You went in with the intention to farm NMs, right? And you can't really, flame the people organizing or title them as pretentious, because that's all they're doing. They're just trying to organize it, right? They're doing their own thing. Well, I don't know. So basically, TLDR, 56 people, 56 different intentions, 56 different, bladders, a lot of a lot of fucking bathroom breaks. So you kind of have to also accommodate what people want, right? Like some people want to stay in a party with their friends, so you can't really start like picking people apart because people get offended, people get annoyed, so it's it's definitely a lot of work, but if everyone is being cooperative and everyone is like respecting what the organizer is trying to accomplish, then it could be relatively painless.
Yeah, no, I mean, if everything goes well, but we're dealing with the internet community, right? We're not dealing with
Right.
we're not dealing
Yeah.
with people in real life. They're like, hey, let's all just form lines, be organized, and be responsible here. We have people who are like, I'm here, it's my day off, I can do whatever the fuck I want for the next 2 hours. Okay, portal,
Yep.
click, I might get something nice out of it. And so
The thing that I think we benefited from is the fact that everyone who leveled really fast to 60 and like, you know, alarm clocked the night that Hidatos came out.
Right.
Those were people who, for the most part, you know, they were doing that because we wanted all to get to that public dungeon.
Mhm.
So we, you know, by being the first people leveled up and stuff, you benefit from the fact that you have other like-minded individuals who are going to be willing to cooperate like as a unit, because they know that the unit is
Mhm.
you know, the collective and not the individual, and it's going to have to be a collective effort to get it done. So I think the first week of this is actually arguably probably going to be the most successful week of it. I think as time goes on, success rate will probably fall.
Right.
Not to rates where it's impossible. Obviously, I do think that Gear is going to carry this content hard, and it's very Ozma will end up being very puggable, if not already.
Mhm.
But just, you know, with the consistent 100% success rate, I'm not so sure. I think this week is the glory week.
Yeah. No, that makes sense too.
Just to clarify, I don't think we've gone over this in case you don't know a damn thing about the arsenal. So to get in to the actual public dungeon, you have to be level 60, and then once certain conditions are met, we're still 100% locking him down. There is a special NM that spawns. It's a level 61, and once you kill that, you get a buff that lasts for 10 minutes, and 48 portals appear around the entire instance. After 5 minutes, anybody can take that portal. During the first 5 minutes, you need a special item to get in, so that's how you're going to have to coordinate things later on. Is everybody's going to have like their special portal stabilizer. But right now, it's wait 5 minutes and then hope you can click on it before somebody else. Because once they're free for all, anybody can just click on them. Like somebody walking along and be like, "Oh, what's this?" They click it. "Oh, I don't want to be in here." Return. You just lost a person entirely.
Right.
Which is a big problem, by the way.
How many times did that happen?
All the
Many.
time.
Every run, I think it had. Well, with this exception of this last run, I think it's happened every other run for the past like 2 days, where somebody takes a portal, whether they willingly took it or they did it to troll, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to be here," or "Oh, LOL, I never wanted to be here," and then they return. And then, unfortunately, I was going to bring this up later in the show, but now's a good time. When you zone in and you leave, that spot is gone. There is actually no way to replenish that spot. And that's a big gripe of mine, actually. They need to put in a system that allows for people who have left to have their spots be replenished.
Well, I mean, the system they would have to do is like people who leave or people who die, they need to have a debuff or something that doesn't let them come back in, because that's kind of the purpose, right? If they leave, they can't come back in, and that's supposed to be part of the difficulty. But I guess it would make sense if they got like a debuff, and then people who didn't go in could go back and fill in those spots. But
well, the way that I'd actually like to see it done is that when you actually queue into Eureka to begin with, if you want to do the Arsenal, you have to, 1, go in as a pre-made of 8, and 2, check a box that says, I'm queuing for Arsenal. Otherwise, you can't take those portals.
I thought they had that message pop up, right? Are you sure you want to do this? It'll take a long time.
They give you there is literally just are you sure you want to unlock the opportunity to be able to do it? And then it gives you the warning thing. There's never a point in time at which you have to say, yes, I'm doing the Arsenal now, like at this point in time. And I think when you queue in is the time that you decide that. And it would be a good way to fix the problem of randoms showing up, a solo going in and making things a lot harder for a lot of other people.
And especially with the portals, like you just have to hit it once. Like there's no yes, no. You just hit the portal and you go in. So there's people that probably have no clue what the portal is. They just queue in. There's no warning. There's no risk of de-leveling in their eyes, right? So if there was a message that said like you will de-level if you die, and you probably will die because difficulty, et cetera, then that would definitely alleviate some of the randoms just kind of joining and leaving, because some of them like have good intentions. Obviously there's going to be like the select few that are, you know, just trying to grief just to do it,
right?
But yeah,
okay,
there are also portals that will spawn inside NMs, as Layla found out today. So anyone at that point in time can even misclick it and go in. So the portal system structurally is very
Goofy.
unfriendly to people who are trying to be coordinated and organized and get this stuff down.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were intending on that too, to just make it difficult to really organize and get in there, and just that's part of the challenge, is that you have to try to figure out how to get the community to work together to allow this to die. I don't know if that was completely intentional. It would seem kind of odd, but honestly, I don't know. I've seen some odd decisions made, so.
Well, this content's going to be completely puggable in a short amount of time. The first two bosses like just get knocked over now. Like, you're eventually going to be able to just, zone in there. The portals will come up, you jump in one, and you X up in there. It's not how it works right now, but once more people run it, there's this gear you get that makes you pump damage in there.
Okay.
So assuming you can have the
Also
right
makes you quite
balance
tanky.
of classes zone in, because you can't change classes once you go into the portal.
Mhm.
So if no healers go in, I guess this one's just a scuffed run. Like,
Right.
it's going to be kind of crazy like that, but I think eventually it's just going to be able to be pugged. Like right now
Okay.
we need a lot of coordination and everything because we're still learning the mechanics. There's no Mr. Happy guide yet. Is there? I didn't check his YouTube.
Don't think so.
Yeah, but once there's guides out, once people know what
Yeah.
they're doing, it's going to be 100% puggable.
Okay. So I guess here's the other question, right? So you first hit level 60, and you're able to go in there now. Is it basically you just hit level 60, you enter in, and you're just going to be carried through it by people who've already done it? Because I mean, when you're a fresh 60, you don't have all that gear, right?
Right. The gear only comes from the arsenal.
Right. And so basically, all new players, it's just going to be a system of being carried through your first few runs, almost, because you don't know what the mechanics are, unless if you actually looked it up and you tried. So a lot of people, it's going to turn into that system to where you have a handful of people who are just going to have to carry all these people who don't really pay attention. Because
Really, the only way you can carry somebody who's completely blind to the arsenal is by getting them in a Discord and carrying them verbally.
Because when they die, they're out, right?
Yeah, when you die, they're out. Like, it's not like you can just learn a mechanic. I mean, you can obviously learn while dying, but I'm saying it's not like you can learn the mechanics by dying to them and get carried that same run.
Mm-hmm.
For
Because of how
somebody
the
who's
res
going
system works.
Yeah, for somebody who's going in complete, there are ways to res people, but it's infrequent and inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
It consumes a lot of resources.
It consumes a lot of resources, yes, and it's also a little unfair to the people who are in there who are prepared, because they're giving up their resources to do it. So you coming in and just leeching blind and forcing resources out of the people who did put in the work to actually learn and prepare those resources for you. I mean, it's just a really bad situation that they've kind of forced on people. I want to make it clear that anyone can take portals. Like, that's the game that we play. Anyone can take portals. You are not obligated to not take a portal. But people really need to understand that by taking a portal, if you're unorganized, if you're solo, if you don't know what you're doing, don't be mad when you die, because it's nobody's fault but yours. And B, understand that there are groups out there that may be a better environment for your first time zoning in that you should probably be a part of.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing is, we have a lot of players that need that advice that play Final Fantasy 14. Because that's just the kind of mentality the game overall has built up for. That's the expectations we give the players. If you go into a new dungeon, you don't have to think, you just go through it, right? And so that warning system was really good, but they're still going to complain. And it might turn into the meta thought of going through this dungeon is that you always save your LB3s for healer LB3s, right?
In pugs, I probably would, but
that way you're kind of carrying some people through, because that's, I don't know. If I was in a group, I might be inclined to use my melee LB3 if I was playing melee, just to make sure that didn't happen. It'd be kind of a jerk maybe about it. I don't know. It feels, like you said, it feels kind of shitty that people go in unprepared and not really caring if they fail, and they're affecting other people. But we'll see how that turns out, because I mean that's the evolution that will start to happen as people slowly level up, right? The people who are in it right now usually don't have that kind of mentality.
Yeah, while that does suck when people go in there and effectively are a burden on the rest of the run, you can't fault them for that because they have every right.
I mean, SC gave them a portal. They're allowed to take it. It's completely within their right to take it. It's just shitty.
When you can be upset is when they use it to grief.
Yes.
And there are a few ways in which you can do that, which have happened to us.
Do we want to give people the blueprints of how to grief?
I probably didn't, but
there is the new GM moderation rules. So
yeah, the person who griefed us did get like reported 30 times.
I mean, the only saving grace is that if you come in to grief a run, well, you can expect 55 reports.
Yeah, and there you go. I mean, and then you might get temp banned.
Somebody got slapped with a nice 50+ report yesterday.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, and something, I don't know if anything happened, but you could assume something's going to happen from that. And it's interesting that they released those updates to the GM moderation right when they put in this new content.
It was specifically for the Baldesion Arsenal, dude.
You think so?
100%.
Oh, 100%. Yes. 1,000%. They foresaw all of this coming.
Okay.
Those TOS updates are 100% because of Hydatos.
Oh, man. I mean, and I'm going to have a whole show about that, by the way. I have a planned out show about the TOS updates and everything in the community. So we won't go too deep into it because it affects me a lot in the content that I play in the game. So I think that it's pretty interesting to see what they're doing, but we'll not go too deep into it right now. Anyways, the organization though, again, very good job, Perez, for making that happen. We proved that NA has a better way of organizing their community than every other community, right?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
We're the most masochistic when it comes to it, I guess.
Yeah. So, did you guys, overall, I mean, you guys have all done very intense raiding, world first raiding stuff, and the preparation you guys did for that does not equate to what you guys did for this, because you guys weren't really expecting much out of it, right?
Well, it depends what you mean by preparation. Yeah, because we went into this not prepared to have to organize 7 groups. But you know, when you're comparing it to what you're talking about, I mean, there's a lot of prep work in your individual raid teams that precedes a raid many weeks in advance. So, you know, I'm not going to compare it to like regular world first raiding. I just think that the troubles and struggles and the learning curve of setting up 56 player raids was because it was a brand new experience, and because we weren't prepared for it. It was a lot of work in a very short time span. Yes, because all this happened over a period of about 48 hours. So it was as much of a rush of work to get done as if we were doing like, you know, preparing for World Prog or something over a period of 48 hours. Yeah.
Okay. After it's out, though, right?
After it's out, yes. Because we were not prepared going into it.
So that being said, let's say BA2 comes out. Right now, you guys had a lot of people who weren't in Elysium helping you guys out, right? You guys were all working together and doing that.
Our very first,
I think in the end we were less than 50% Elysium.
Our very, I don't want to get you off your train of thought, Frosty, but at the beginning of our very first Baldesion zone in was 2 Elysium groups, 1 pug, I think.
Yeah, there's one other group we saw that like hit 60 around the same time.
Yeah, we were like, hey, come with us.
Yeah.
Because we had a rumor, so JP was World First 60s, and they zoned in as like one group, and we saw them die because they didn't pull both of the first bosses at the same time. So we're like, okay, well, we at least know we need 2 groups. So let's wait till we get 2 groups and then zone in. Then we have to start 3rd one. Anyway, you were saying, if I didn't.
No. I was saying that at this point, you guys understand what it looks like, what the schematic of Square Enix designing public dungeons
if they released BA2, we would have the blueprint now, and it would be a much easier initial rush. Yes.
So you guys know what to expect, and this might be where it's a full Elysium group going into it, right? You guys might have everyone prepared to do it. I mean, need to have enough members who are interested in doing it.
Right now we could probably fill, I would say, 4 full groups, maybe plus or minus a few people.
I mean, you don't need
it's a good start. Yeah, you definitely don't need full 56.
Well, you also don't need like world first racers either. You just need average players who understand mechanics and can raid.
You need people who can listen is what you need.
Yeah. So you guys might be able to get this whole inclusive thing. And that the thing that was really cool here is how much of the community came together to make it happen. But that might be a little bit less in that situation when you guys go into your next one. I'm assuming you're going to try to organize it in a way that you guys have people you know, familiar with, that could go in and do these mechanics. You're not taking that risk of unknown people who just like to grind really hard for 24 hours and get level 60.
Well, thankfully,
Yeah, go ahead.
In all the bosses, except for Ozma, there's pretty much no mechanics that one person can just kill everybody with.
Yes.
There's one in Absolute Virtue that can get a little tricky, but I guess we can get into details as we a little bit later on here. But that's why I think it's super puggable, is because it's very difficult for one person to just kill everybody.
The only exception is Ozma. I feel like that has the real, because even on EV, like what Balana's talking about as an orb mechanic, even on that mechanic, the people can see it coming and react to it. Like, oh, we see this guy's being really dumb. Let me save myself from dying. Ozma, I mean, there's very little you can do about somebody screwing up the Ozma mechanic. Your life is not in your hands, kind of.
Okay. Fair. But I mean, if they're at that point anyways, they're probably paying attention, I would assume.
You would hope.
No? Okay.
The first clear of our first Ozma clear, I'm pretty sure an acceleration bomb just blew up on the party, and like they were left with like not even 3%.
I think that happened to all 3 parties.
Was it all 3? Yeah,
all 3 parties.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
everyone was really scuffed.
We barely cleared on our world first.
Nice.
Barely.
Okay. So, well, the main thing I was thinking about is if you guys clear with an Elysium massive population and group, the rest of the community, they don't have Elysium players to help them go through and do this, right?
So our experience that we had with this dungeon is going to be very, very different to what other people experience. As soon as this is content that I think you absolutely need to look at the guide going into, or else you're wasting everyone else's time, unless you can get 56 people together who want to do it blind. So our experience that we had was very different to what other people have, because we were discovering things as opposed to learning, like getting used to fights. And because of the punishment, just the nature of the punishment in these fights, discovering things was really, really hard.
Yeah, I mean, you would discover a new mechanic. I think really the bosses where this happened the most on were Raiden and AV. I think those were probably the worst cases, because you would see a new phase, or you'd discover a mechanic. Maybe you die to it. The raid mechanics are pretty self-explanatory, but the AV ones especially, like you're trying out strategies, you die, you de-level, you have to re-level before you can go back in. So there's just a time gate there for how many pulls you can actually get done in an hour.
If that time gate wasn't there, you guys would have cleared it really quick, I'm assuming.
Couple, like 2 hours, yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, you guys remember back in the day of waiting for cooldowns, people dying, you like on Titan, you can't res them, things like that. You kind of have a few of those feelings coming back, I assume, with this new public dungeon. Are you happy that you're seeing these punishing mechanics, or do you're kind of glad they're gone and you don't want them to go towards raid in the future?
Like, I think, like, I don't know, it might be a little bit too punishing, because asking all those people to get back up to the level that's required might be a little bit too much to ask for. But personally, I think it's perfect. I think that because going into the content and having no real punishment is kind of boring. Having that like sense of, oh, if I die, like I need to actually grind back up for like 20 to 30 minutes, right? Depending on whether or not Sprite Island is occupied. So it's definitely, in my personal opinion, perfect. I think the de-leveling system is awesome.
I think it's a really, really good way to make easier content feel really rewarding. Like, you don't feel good after you clear Seiryu the first time. You don't feel good clearing Suzaku. But now you've got fights which are probably on the same tier, maybe even a little easier mechanically than those, that feel really good to beat. They actually give you a sense of accomplishment, which has been missing from the game for a long time.
Okay. So you guys think that maybe, I don't know, Layla, I saw a couple of your tweets about it with the res system and going into like savage raids and everything. Maybe they can change how that works instead of being able to completely just raise and raise and raise. Maybe just you raise once and then that's it for the fight or something similar. They could kind of mix that up. You guys would be happy with the challenge that would provide.
I think that there does need to be a limitation on raises. I mean, you're 56 players. You can't just be like having 7 people die and then just raise all 7 of them. Maybe, I mean, I've been preaching this for a while, but I think the game just needs a raid-wide cooldown once a res goes out on that res. It's what most MMOs do. Most MMOs have combat res timers. And my personal opinion is that it's high time that Final Fantasy does too. I mean, rezzing through mechanics has been the nature of the game for the last 2.5 years. I think we've seen it be a negative nature of the game for Prog for the entirety of those 2.5 years.
Yeah, but why would you bring Red Mage then?
Well, you
delete it.
It can be adjusted and designed into an actually well-designed job.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of make Red Mage not dependent on their ability to res people.
Right now, there's 0 design space for Red Mage because of how powerful it is in rezzing people. I mean, they're not going to make it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they would, but I was going to say they're not going to make it the best caster while also having the ability to raise everyone for free. But they've done things in the past that might make me question that. So,
I mean, things happen. But no, yeah, I think that in the end, when we go into like savage content, we go into content that's meant to provide a challenge. Like this, I assume was meant to provide a challenge. Adding in these factors that people are like, oh, I wouldn't want it because it takes up too much time. Time is a challenge, right? It's a thing. Just going and, I mean, sitting dead doing nothing for an hour, that kind of sucks. Having to go re-level, that kind of sucks. But going in there and saying, I can complete this fight, and then if I fuck up, it's not a big deal. That's the thing that's that's why they have to make these, like, raid-wide, kill your entire party if you fuck up UCOB mechanics, right?
Yeah.
That's why the DPS buff at the end of UCOB was there. If someone dies, that's a big deal.
It just seems silly that they're forcing the issue or a solution to the issue by tying it to specific mechanics where like rezzing or doing certain mechanics properly is hindered by having to res when they could just have a global solution of limiting reses altogether. You know, people will paint it as artificial difficulty. Difficulty is difficulty. Difficulty takes different forms. Something isn't more artificially difficult than anything else. It's just difficulty takes different forms. And you know, you can argue that the Baldesion arsenal mechanics are simpler than Savage Raids, and by all accounts they are. The difficulty of that dungeon is the fact that you can't be raised and you need to try to organize 56 people, and that is a skill set that exists and that's a skill set that is nurtured by this type of content. It's just a skill set that is not nurtured in other styles of content in the game, so it's new to people.
Right.
Yeah, the stakes have never been higher because if you die, you not only have to go re-level, but you don't get loot because the loot is individual loot. You have to go and like click on the treasure chest after you kill the boss. So if you die during AV and nobody gets you back up, too bad, so sad. You don't get those fragments. You don't get that treasure chest.
Right. That, to me, I'm as an old MMO guy, that makes me happy. So I don't know. I love people getting fucked over in MMOs. It's just
let me just say that like I tweeted this out. It was really fun doing it because and it's surprising how fun it is. You know, you look at the bosses, which for all intents and purposes are recycled 24-man mechanics. Some of them reskinned or retextured. And the fact that you can take those kind of easy to execute 24-man mechanics and still have fun says something. It says that we don't need the big brain weapons refrain mechanics or UCOB mechanics to sort of have an enjoyable experience when you put yourself in a high stakes environment where it's kind of like a hardcore setting. If you die in the game, you die in real life.
That'd be great, man. Let's do that. Let's get back to Sword Art Online, dude. Why we? They had it down. The anime had it.
Yeah.
Why are we
Dibs
overcomplicating?
Kyrdo.
Oh Jesus, I've seen so many. Anyways, going back to the overall design of this, I mean, the other, of course, big thing to talk about is that this is the largest. I don't want to say largest boss. Largest amount of people to clear a boss that they've done so far. And people have been shying away from it. This has kind of been one of Final Fantasy XIV's, I think, signature parts, is that you don't need as many people to clear raids. You're like 2 people less than like what you would do in WoW. Like WoW's 10 at the moment, I think, right? For the whatever, not the lowest part, but like I think it's 20 for the very hard mythic stuff. Is that right? You get WoW guys now?
For
Okay.
right now, yeah. In the past, it was 25, and then many years ago, it was 40.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the first attempt that they did at large-scale difficult content. Do you guys want to see more large-scale difficult content in this game?
Yes.
Big yes.
Yeah. Because
If they fix the systems that made the large-scale things annoying, then yes, absolutely. Let us go in as alliances, please.
Can I offer what my opinion on like how people should be able to queue in to the arsenal should be?
Sure. Go ahead. Go.
So I don't think this is possible for the way they do their instance queuing, and I have a feeling that they made it publicly accessed actually because of limitations on their end. Because I've been soloing in Hidatos like after Arsenal runs and stuff, like whenever it goes to bed, like I've just been going in Hidatos and running around solo, doing NMs, getting my crystals. And anytime I'm in like an instance without a pre-made and Omni spawns, and somebody will shout, "Hey, are we going into BA this spawn?" And all you see and shout is, "No way! I'm way too scared to zone in there. No way! You really need a pre-made for that." All you see in all these zones are people without pre-mades, kind of apathetic and uninterested in zoning in. It's very rare. I'm not saying every single time that people won't zone in, but it's very rare that people will zone in and actively try to make an effort with the people who are inside. So I think that they might have kind of missed their target mark and their target demographic for this publicly accessed portal, nuances.
Okay.
What I would like to just kind of see is you zone in, and I because of how I understand how their duty instances work, I don't think this is possible with how they currently have it. So they would need to address some things. But zone in and queue as parties inside, and it's not just publicly allowed. It's a queue system inside Hidatos that you queue as parties.
Queue within a queue.
Yes, a queue within a queue. And I don't think that's possible because of how Eureka is set up right now.
So
because of the instance servers.
Yeah, I will say I don't think this is completely related because I don't know how servers work and everything. I don't know how they do all the back end stuff. I can only guess and pull shit out of my ass. But right now, one of the solutions, and funny, I'm talking about triple triad, and you're like, why the fuck are you talking about triple triad? So you can zone in to a triple triad room, and so once you go in there, you can queue to face another player. But all it does is bring up the triple triad menu. It doesn't take you into a whole nother zone or anything. So they might have something that could work with that double layer queue. I just don't know how advanced it could really be in that way.
Maybe there's a solution that doesn't require a double queue. Maybe just the simplest solution is just require a party of 8 to be able to zone in.
Yes.
I think that's probably the easiest band-aid they can do. And it wouldn't require any restructuring of infrastructure on their end.
Well, the thing is, the Baldesion arsenal isn't a like second instance. It's still the same like zone.
Right.
Still the same map.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
It's like underneath, I think, because you can still like see everybody chatting. You can still like see everybody else that's in that instance of Eureka of Hidatos. So if they might be able to adapt the triple triad thing, that sounds like it could work. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could really do.
It just seems to me, I guess the thing that I was trying to highlight is I've been in a lot of Hidatos this week, and it is very, very, very rare that I see somebody solo be like, yeah, I'm going to zone in and find a party.
Yeah.
Everyone is always like, the majority of shouts I see are, no way, I'm too afraid to go in and D level.
Well, it's new and it's unknown, so people are always afraid of what they don't know. So
It could change. It's
once
very
the information gets out there, once there are guides, I think people pugging it is going to become a lot more common.
Well, people are afraid of what they don't know, except for you guys. You guys get excited, right?
we
Well, yeah.
get giddy.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what we don't know, so it's a whole different thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think in the end, having it that way to where, because it is intimidating. Yeah, this is intimidating content because they don't know what's going to go in there, and they're like, I don't want to fuck up. I don't want to be that guy that gets blacklisted for joining in, and then someone calls me a piece of shit, and that's it, right? But in terms, going back to just being a 24, or no, being a large-scale boss overall, and being something that the community might want, I mean, having these... I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Having content that's difficult, that requires a lot amount of people, is also healthy for in-game communities.
Yeah,
right?
Big time.
So it builds FCs up. It makes people say, hey, I want to get with more people like-minded that want to clear this content, and you need people. Right now, you just need a dedicated 8 people, and that's your size for needing people who are going to be on a similar skill level. So it would be interesting to see if they start implementing this stuff a little bit more often to require people to build up more of their own internal communities in the game, because we're so removed from the game community-wise now, and we're all in Discords and everything else, that we don't really log in to talk to people. We log in to queue with our raid party.
Yeah. Eureka, which was largely AFK'd in NM trains for 3 zones by the large majority of the population, somehow brought everyone together in the end.
Mm-hmm. Which was beautiful. That's what we all wanted to see, right? We were all like, yeah, feels like an MMO. Feels like this great experience that I had back in the day when I was playing. We want to see more of that. So, and I think we shouldn't be afraid of making the people who don't have enough time to, and exactly what I said earlier, having enough time to like go in and queue and do this content happy, because either they will do it or they won't do it, right? There's lots of stuff that takes time in the game. Might as well add some skill to it, and these people could spend time getting better at the game, or they don't have to, because it's not like they're going to lose anything outside of an Ozma mount. Who cares?
A lot of people care because that mount is really, really fucking cool.
So you're right, and if they care, they can dedicate time to go do that, and it won't be horrible. They just have to put some in.
The nice thing is the mechanics are accessible. I think the effort doesn't come from necessarily like mechanical skill. It comes from a willingness to want to work together.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just provide that willingness to want to work together with a team, you can clear BA.
And we're losing that as a game overall. And in a lot of MMOs, we're losing.
If people want BA clears, this will build it back up for them.
As I was talking about on the last show, basically, people have come to me and say, "Why do I have to depend on other people to clear this content?" We're losing what an MMO is if people are thinking that way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But okay, sorry. Again, tangent here.
No, I'm with you, Frosty. I'm with you.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Frosty, putting in the time to get it done, which brings up a really major problem that I have with what Baldesion Arsenal is, and that it's effectively a slightly larger than 24-man raid, gated behind 2 years of grinding.
Well,
the content they released for this was released over 2 years, and it was all nothing but level grinding.
Yeah. Which is weird,
and then
right?
Put this amazing content at the end of it.
This was clearly a learning. This was clearly a learning curve for them. And Hydados is the fruits of their labors. I think when Anemos came out, I'm sure that they probably had an idea of what Hydados was going to be, but we saw Eureka evolve with every new zone that they added in some way. I don't know if Pagos evolved much, but Pyros versus Anemos and Hydados versus Pyros, there's a clear evolution there. They were learning as they went.
I mean,
and we were as well, which is really cool, because you can tell by the time we got to Hydados, we leveled so quickly because of the things we'd learned from Pagos, Anemos, and Pyros all combined, and it just made the leveling experience, not only because of the changes they had made, but because of the way that we'd changed the way we approached leveling and things like that. Like, we were done 10 levels in 8 hours, less than that.
I want to say 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours.
It wasn't very long.
Yeah. Either way, it happened very, very fast.
Shout out to Sprite Island. Shout out to Sprite Island, dude.
Yeah, but like I said, it's the content evolving as well as the players evolving around the content.
So I mean, again, yeah, these. I'm kind of I don't know if this is true. It's just something I think to make me feel a little bit better. Is that the backlash if there not being a third ultimate? They're like, well, we're not going to do a third ultimate because that takes a lot of work on testing and making it all this other stuff. We don't have enough time for it. We can throw this in here in our little play area, which is Eureka, and just make something happen to kind of make the more, I guess, hardcore community a little bit happier, is by putting in this new possible device.
So I don't think this was just for us, is the thing.
No, I don't either.
This is not content for hardcore players. It's just that we also benefited from it in the way that we wanted to benefit from it. It's a very much everyone gets what they want out of it, because if you're a quote-unquote casual player, you can still clear this content and you'll have a lot of fun doing it. We got the blind prog experience that we wanted out of content, but that doesn't gate anyone from doing what we did, because the things that made it very hard for us are very specific to the fact that it was blind.
Okay.
Yeah, like those first 2 polls, Absolute Virtue. Nobody's gonna do those anymore. Like,
Oh man. Yeah.
So-
everyone's just gonna look for the portal immediately.
yeah. So if you don't know, the first time you get to Absolute Virtue, it has a buff on it.
Before you take the green portal, if you watch streams.
Yeah. Yeah, if you know what's going on, we'll get to that. But the first time you walk in, oh, there's Absolute Virtue. What's this buff on them? I don't know. Whatever. Let's pull them anyway. I don't know what the buff even looks like anymore. I think it's just a big red middle finger underneath them.
Yeah, might as well be.
Because you pull them, you pull Absolute Virtue, and it's like, okay, yeah, we can do this. It's fine. We get it down like 10%. Oh, it's casting Benediction. Stun it, interrupt. Somebody else casts Benediction. That's how it worked in 11. Oh no, he's casting Hollow Ground. He's at full HP. He's invulnerable. What do we do? Oh, and then he starts chain casting Meteor.
Mighty Strikes, and he's perma-critting.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it's
meteor
just-
perma-crits.
Oh, and he's dual casting those meteors as well. Don't forget that.
Yeah, he just shits all over you, and we're like, oh, how do we do this? How did it work in 11? So we tried like going in and casting Benediction at the same time as him. We were going to try like Logos actions, and then finally somebody, I think it was the JP stream who first found it. If you're going around, there's traps in there as well, and they gave you a new Logos action that allows you to find these traps. Turns out one of those traps isn't a trap; it's a portal. And you go through the portal, you go to the other side, and then once you're through the portal, you can spawn an NM out in the regular world, out in regular Hydados, that people have to kill. And once that gets killed, Absolute Virtue loses the buff.
Which is
That whole
interesting, right? Because you guys wouldn't expect that as a mechanic.
The AV mystery was the most fun part of BA Prog by far.
Yeah.
Hard to agree.
So, and I've seen it before on stream multiple times. The fate fails, right? I don't know how many times it did for you guys. Maybe once, but
That's why you have the support team out there.
right.
Yep.
So that's pretty interesting to see that they're not. It's like, hey, here's this. What can we do to make it interesting? That's what we need as developers who think, what can we do to make it a little bit more interesting? At least one guy back there throwing out ideas, and that's something. It's not going to exist anymore, right? It's only interesting for the proggers, which is for you guys. Which is the same thing I think they did with Ultimate Weapon, right? They put in this mechanic that no one would
probably.
figure out unless if they did some testing, experimenting, and it's not a big deal once it's figured out, but for Blind Prog, it's a puzzle.
Very similar to Uwu.
Very similar, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I kind of lost. We were talking about Eureka overall. And how, Sfia, you're bringing this up. There's 2 years of mindless grinding you basically go through, which we thought, was just some random relic zone. I'm on Pagos. I didn't really care. It wasn't content that pulled me in. I never really wanted to do it. But now that I know there's this thing I want to do, I have to go through Pagos and Pyros and
I was
Hydratos.
level 24 2 weeks ago.
Right.
To my understanding, they'd told us that there would be this public dungeon at the end of this, maybe 6 months, 9 months ago. But they didn't tell us what type of experience it would be. And they clearly can't say this is going to be amazing, like it's going to be great content, because if it fell flat on its face, then that's it. Like this content is doomed forever. But it didn't give anyone the incentive to go and grind through these pretty miserable zones. I will say, at least in the case of Pagos. So the amount of people who are actually ready to challenge this content now is very limited.
Right. And it's interesting that they did that. It's weird way. And again, this is their learning, like we were talking about. This is them learning kind of what they want to do with these zones and everything else. And a lot of people who were going through this enjoy doing, or not enjoy doing it. People who aren't upset leveling Gathering. I can't level Gathering, guys. I can't do it. Where you just go and hit a tree a bunch of times and you just go back and forth. And that's kind of what Eureka felt like to me, but they evolved it in some way in later zones that made it more interesting. Like Pyros apparently was really good, right? Before this zone came out. And so with these all as mechanics, hopefully they learn and they start doing a public dungeon at the end. If they do this again, this type of system, they would have a public dungeon at the end of every zone.
I think that would be ideal, but in terms of the development time that would take, unrealistic. I would like maybe like an encounter or something smaller than what we got with the public dungeon every second patch or at the end of the expansion. But they need more incentive to go into each Eureka zone, because right now you get relics which are always outdated, and you get a pretty, like in the first couple of instances, you got a really bad combat experience because they didn't include the Logos yet. So you were doing battle content, literally spamming buttons for periods of time where you really should not be spamming buttons for.
How long was our Pagos Death March? It was like
30 plus hours.
30 plus hours, yeah.
And it was just you were hitting a striking dummy for 30 hours effectively, which it's not good for anyone. Nobody enjoys that.
Eureka has a lot of cool mechanics. A lot of mechanics that I haven't been in Eureka enough to even be able to properly explain. Check out Mal Reynolds' Eureka guide on FFXIV. He's like Eureka connoisseur. Him and Chia both. They're the encyclopedia on it.
They're connoisseur of like fucking everything. I see that guy PvPing with me.
Mal has all 15 relics. I just want to point that out. He has all 15 Pyros relics, and I'm sure he's going to make all 15 Hydatos relics. So just that's how much how much time he spends in Eureka. I think that Eureka really hit its stride at Pyros with the introduction of Logos actions. Logos actions are really fun. I'm just gonna say it. They're really fun. And combining that in a large scale raid environment that's kind of just done for fun is really fun.
Yeah, it even gives people a way to kind of have a little bit of an identity even in these raids, because right now every white mage is like every other white mage, but now
who's the white mage that's the dispeller? Who's the white mage that's the sacrificer?
Exactly, yeah. So it adds layer complexity, even though it's going to boil down to eventually everybody's like, okay, you bring these ones and that one, you bring magic burst and elder and black mage, and you destroy everything.
It feels like you have more meaningful choices in the game now, not only in terms of Logos actions, but there's new fun itemization as well, which is something that has been just horrible in this game for a very long time. So you have a choice of the way that you battle the content. You've got choices in how you gear for it. It just gives you more options, and everyone likes that.
Yeah. So I'm going to pose this next question to Perez, because I want to force him to say some stuff here, because I haven't heard from him too much. So Perez, so how much did you do of Eureka before all this? Did you do every single time it came out, you just leveled up real quick?
Every time I would alarm clock, and every time I'd be severely disappointed in the outcome with my, less than optimal relic weapon and hours of meaningless grind.
So the reason I asked you that, the question is, let's say how we level up, our main experience going through our process to get to max level, say for Shadowbringers. What if we didn't do it the original way and instead we did it the Eureka way?
So that would call for a bunch of different system changes that I don't know if people would be okay with. However, just changing the monotony of actually just standardly leveling your characters through dungeons, fates, and dungeons, fates, and main scenario. That's literally a side quest I guess. That'd be awesome. If there was maybe not, just implement Eureka and just have that as the only way to level, but add aspects from Eureka into the open world. That'd be awesome. But yeah, they need to do so in a way that doesn't make it as monotonous as Eureka was. because if you just do that, then no one's gonna like leveling. I don't think anyone actually enjoys the leveling process.
Well, I mean, who enjoys the regular leveling process?
True.
So,
I mean, 100%.
Here's one thing I'll say that I know you wanted today's show to be more BA focused, but just like a quick Eureka tangent,
Yeah.
like leveling stuff. I think that the weather effects and stuff in Eureka are actually really cool. So I did play 11 for a couple, like maybe like a year and a half to 2 years, when I was a lot younger, and 11, had a lot more interaction with the like weather environments and the time of day and stuff. And that's something that 14 really never had unless you like fishing and yeah.
Right.
But regards to like your day-to-day leveling and stuff, who cares about the weather? In Eureka, I mean, weather completely changes how you level. I mean, there are mobs that mutate and adapt based on the type of weather outside. Certain NMs only spawn in certain types of weather. All of these weather-related things could be implemented to an open world environment in the future for the game, and provide alternative means for leveling other than just grind the quests that are on your map, do your leveling roulette. I'm pretty sure everyone is just gut-wrenchingly tired of Heaven on High and Palace of the Dead leveling. Give people's alt jobs an ability to go, oh, it's blizzarding. I mean, let's go mutate some mobs outside Costa. Like, give people that option. And I thought that it was one of the cooler mechanics for leveling in Eureka. The grinding mobs that don't mutate or adapt at all for hours on end, that is mind-numbingly boring. But the ones that are weather tied and like you're interacting with the mobs more and getting huge chunks of XP from them and getting those chain bonuses from them, I thought that part of leveling was kind of fun.
It's kind of interesting because sorry, Perez, you can go.
No, I was just gonna say, just adding the not just weather, but time of day and all these different aspects of the open world will not only make it more enjoyable, but it'll also bring life to the open world. Like,
it makes it interactive.
You go to the fringes, there's literally just you and like some other bot just chilling there, right? There's nothing in the open world. Like, they need to add more stuff, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, bring stuff to life. Make us feel like we're in a world.
I mean, in Realm Reborn, like, the way to level was fate trains. And they added all these other ways that are a lot better than fate trains, but that's basically what Eureka rolled back to, is you do fate trains and you grind mobs in between.
But I mean, that's still more enjoyable. I don't know.
I would prefer that than Palace of the Dead, personally. But.
Yeah, Palace of the Dead it's a nice, interesting kind of challenge. It's a challenge for people. It's supposed to be like a 4-man challenge. I don't think it's supposed to be a leveling. I don't think they should use that as the way to level. It should just be something. The
takeaway is that Eureka has mechanics that I do think can apply to open world and honestly should be looked at. Everyone hates the idea of the Pagos grind, and I would never ever encourage a Pagos style environment to be implemented into the game's core leveling process or progression process even. But there are little niche scenarios in Eureka that I think this MMO as a whole would greatly benefit from if they were made a more core component of the game.
Right. And so we don't even know if there's going to be another Eureka type content in Shadowbringers, right? We don't even know if this type of content will exist. They didn't say anything about it.
I'm the wrong guy to ask.
Okay, yeah, true. But I mean, you guys, you didn't hear anything about them saying, all right, Eureka 2.0 is going to be so and so. This is just this expansion. They had this type of content, like they had Diadem for Heavensward, right? And so this is kind of like their little realm of experimentatory whatever stuff. And I hope what they're doing is they're going in and being like, hey, how do people react to this? How do people enjoy this type of mechanic? Let's start pulling this over into our game and then create another testing ground. And then they can just whatever playground they want to do next.
They have mentioned adding more exploration content, which is what Diadem was, which is what Eureka is. And the next step will be just the next evolution of those two.
Yeah. And hopefully they learned a lot of lessons from Eureka, because we pushed Diadem away. We were like, please, we want it out of here. We don't want to do anything to do with it. And so they gave us Eureka.
Diadem is a big failure. Eureka was a response to Diadem being a failure, and it had a very slow start and a very rocky middle. Right. But I think it kind of caught its stride there at the end.
It only took them 6 tries, but they finally got diadem right.
Pretty much. So I'm interested to see what they can do with that. And this isn't just because it feels doing Eureka feels like playing an MMO in an MMO. Like it's the side MMO that you can play inside your MMO. And I feel like we need to start making the things that we enjoy in these side parts part of what is the reason why we just played a main game. And that, again, this is all just extra stuff. Because, I mean, isn't that what it feels like? An arcade version inside the game of playing an MMO?
I mean, it really is. It definitely is not your normal job kit when, Black Mages zone in and do the damage of a melee LB3 in a single cast. Like, yeah, I don't remember doing that in Omega.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's not part of how it works in the real world of...
I hope it is.
I mean, Sfia would disagree, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody else would probably agree.
Yeah. It's fun to have a place to break stuff. And I think that it's a good idea for them to keep creating this side content. Because Eureka and Diadem, because they were... Yoshida, I think at FanFest was asked, are they ever going to do anything to change up their schematic? Because they have the raid cycle, they have the 24-man cycle, and they go flip back and forth between these things. But his response was, hey, we're doing some things. We have Heavens on High, we have Eureka, so, consider some of these as, like, changing it up a bit. And so I'm interested to see what he's going to do to change it up in the next expansion. And hopefully it's just constant improving. Because, go ahead.
The bigger question that I have is, Eureka is one thing. Baldesion Arsenal, I almost treat as a completely separate thing. I'm not sure whether or not they should be tied together.
Well,
I don't know. Like
I think they should, to be honest.
I kind of liked it. I do think that if you take BA out of Hydados is pretty bland. And I think that there needs to be like all of this work towards these Logos actions, all of this work towards this elemental bonus that we have, like all that needs to culminate in something that you're progressing towards. And what you're doing is you're progressing towards BA. Like I have 56 Logos actions because of BA. And it's a place for you to use all that fun stuff in Eureka. And if you take that away, what are you going to use it on? Are you going to use it on Cassie when Cassie spawns or doesn't spawn? I mean, like that's the epitome of it.
Yeah.
And getting back to like more BA specific stuff, because I kind of took us on a train ride there. Because I did have stuff I wanted to mention about BA specifically. Still, there are while it was a ton of fun, and I mean, me, I'm always saying like I really, really, really want to explore Savage / Ultimate style 24-mans.
Mm-hmm.
I've been begging for that because I think it's something that.
Or 4-man, just more Savage. I think
just something that isn't 8-man is what I'm hoping for. And I honestly I wanted to see 24-mans, especially because I just think that there's different skill sets being able to be utilized there, and I think it's a style of content that's really enjoyable. But that being said, there are some specific problems with BA that need to be addressed. Not even I'm talking about like going future into Shadowbringers with like their next exploration content. I'm talking about like they need to address it this patch to make the BA experience better. And one of those things is they need to provide a better incentive for players to want to kill the support NM that the players spawn. Because right now, the fact that it gives the same crystals as every other level 60 fate is not enough incentive for people to want to do something that 48 players are literally depending on you to do. So 48 players zone in. They dedicate an hour probably to setting up their run, or maybe just forming when they zone in the like public through public channels. And the fact that those 48 players' fates are in the hands of a bunch of level 55s and 57s outside the instance who don't really have any incentive to do fates other than maybe XP and some crystals. That's, I think, a bit of an oversight in the design. I think that for a fate that a BA run hinges on, it needs to provide a bigger incentive / reward to do it. And I'm of the opinion that it just needs to provide an ass ton of crystals. We were also tossing around the idea that, people who don't get in BA in that instance, you know, obviously they're going to be let down because they're not able to get fragments. Fragments are the only way you actually get, or BA is the only way you actually acquire fragments, and you need fragments to upgrade your elemental +2 armor, and also the final step of your relic weapon. Have the support NM drop 1 or 2 fragments in addition to like maybe double the crystals it does now. So you're rewarding the people with a much lesser amount of fragments, but you're still rewarding them with a small portion of fragments for helping you kill Avni, for helping you get access to those portals, for helping the other 48 players actually get inside BA and complete BA.
Right.
I think that it really needs both a fragment and crystal incentive as reward.
Absolutely. You have to give a reason why people want to rush to it and complete it.
Yeah, and to be clear, because I don't think that we've explained it on this show, I am not talking about Avni. Avni spawns so frequently right now that the incentive is honestly fine. The incentive is probably the best of all NMs in the zone, with the exception of maybe the ones that you need for the 7th Magicite. But I am talking about the actual support NM. We call it a support NM because just part of the Fate name, and you're supporting the run inside. The 48 players who initially zone into BA, while you're going to AV, it's the one that you spawn inside the dungeon that pops outside the dungeon in order to progress to AV. The people inside the dungeon, because of the fact that there's no way for them to actually leave the dungeon to help the NM without risking their spot inside the dungeon, completely rely on everyone outside the dungeon to get that NM done. And this is a problem for a number of reasons, but that's just the dynamic of the situation. Right. And what'll happen is when that NM dies, 8 red portals will spawn around the map, and those players who take those portals join the group of 48 or less inside, and they make your 56 or fewer roster. I think that the incentive for that NM is a problem, and I also feel like at that point, as soon as that NM dies, there should be a snapshot of number of players zoned inside BA, and not just 8 portals should spawn, but the number of portals that spawn should be equivalent to the number of remaining spots in the dungeon. I have zero idea why it wasn't designed that way from the get-go, because you could have 24 people inside the dungeon, and then only 8 portals spawn from the support NM when you could have literally another 30. Wait, hold on.
It's okay. Simple math, difficult.
32.
You can have another 32 portals spawn from killing that NM.
Right.
Math major, by the way. But
another one of the problems with that support NM is that in terms of actually killing it, it's way harder than any other NM you see in Hydatos. It requires specific Logos actions to kill. As well as its mechanics are harder than anyone else is used to. Like, they've seen maybe a Dynamo, they've seen maybe a Chariot, but not back to back. It hits harder than anything else. So people go into it completely underprepared as well. So I feel like that is another thing that skews the reward system and makes it feel very, why am I bothering to do this?
Right. Yeah, it's just as much a boss as anything else in the arsenal, so it should reward the same as the boss.
Right.
And if the incentive, if what you were saying in chat is correct, that like the whole purpose is they don't want people to just return. They want it to be a zone-wide effort to get BA done. What the hell are the other people who aren't the 56 players benefiting from the zone-wide effort if you're not providing good enough rewards from the outside Fate? It just seems so ridiculous that it provides so little when it's so critical to a run in what is potentially their design of a zone-wide effort to get the dungeon done. I just think it's a massive, massive, massive blunder, and I am really looking forward to them buffing the rewards from that Fate. It
seems like an obvious choice, something that they should be doing.
I'll provide as much feedback regarding that as I can, and I encourage everyone else to as well.
See, I'm on a different boat. I think the support NM, like, yes, it could do with more rewards, but I think like people are still going to do it regardless. It's going to be on a lower, because I believe it's like 15 minutes to defeat the NM versus the 30 minutes that it takes every NM to die. I think people are still going to do the NMs. Like, I think attaching more rewards to it, like, yeah, they'll be great, but at the end of the day, the NM will still die. People are still, because it gives 10 crystals, it gives the esoterics, it gives the lock boxes if people want that for whatever reason.
You
like,
say that,
yeah.
So on Aether, like we've been blessed on Aether. I have like firsthand conversations with people on other data centers where people willingly choose to not do that NM because they're doing out of spite for not being a part of the 48 inside.
Okay, well.
Because there's just if you're not the 48 inside, you're not getting any fragments that zone. You're not getting any chance at minions. You're not getting any chance at seals or cloths. Like there's so little incentive for you to actually help the other people who were more fortunate than you, other than I just want a level or I just want 10 crystals. Like there needs to be something more. I mean, people on EU were taking it to a whole new level. You know, like I have my EU friends telling me what's going on over there on Chaos. The first like 2 days when that, or not 2 days, but the first day when that NM was spawning, people were purposely wiping and resetting it just to spite the people inside. I mean, that's how toxic it got.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty rough. Perez, I know you're getting short on time here. Are there any topics before you have to run off that you want to make sure that you're like dying to get out or anything? I just want to make sure you're good.
Well, you said something initially about having the Arsenal gated behind Hydados, or gating this 56-man content behind a huge grind. People don't seem to be okay with it, but personally, because of the huge failure that was Animos and Pagos, I think gating this 56 content it's kind of like a band-aid in a sense. I still think that they kind of complement each other. The fact that you're able to do this massive grind to get to this 56-man dungeon, like that's awesome. Like being able to feel accomplishment and like being incentivized to actually get to level 60, like I think that's really good. And when I said it complement each other because now you have all these amazing Eureka actions and this elemental system that, and it kind of felt like it was a waste of like a really well thought out system like the elemental system and the Logos actions. But because they gated it behind Eureka, I think that was perfect. I think if it was in anything else, it wouldn't have been as good.
Well, I mean, no, I completely agree. And that's how you make people do the monotonous leveling up process in the first place when you played an MMO, because you get the stuff at the end, right?
Right. And I mean, like it was a failure from the beginning. Like with the Animos grinding, they lost so many players. Like at the first 10 levels, I thought. So if they go into 5.0 with the same plan where they just kind of get to level cap and then do public dungeon, well, do that from the beginning. I tweeted about this actually. I'm like, bring Eureka back in 5.0, but make each tier a Hydados tier. So meaning in terms of enjoyability and having the incentive to do the public dungeon at the end. If they do that, then I think they're gonna score money, dude. Like that's where the money is.
Score money. Yeah, Square, you need to score some money, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But I want to say I'm a little bit different on the opinion of that. I want them to gut Eureka and get everything valuable out of it and then just try something new. I want them to just take what they can from this and just give us something new to mess around with.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's exactly what they do, because that's essentially what happened from Diadem to Eureka, and they're going to do the same thing going forward, is my prediction. They've hit a good, logo sections are really cool, interactive, fun, different gear options, really cool. The public dungeon system, really cool. These three things alone could be the foundation of awesome new content. I mean, maybe I'm just in a minority, but I also just really liked weather interaction. This is probably a little bit of the 11 player in me, but I've always wanted weather interaction in this game, and it was never there unless I pulled out my fishing rod.
Pull out your fishing rod.
Hunts have it.
Yes, hunts as well, sure. Okay, but I'm talking about something a little bit more substantial than those.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they need to make the environment a lot more interactive, something that we want to care about paying attention to. I like it if there was reasons outside of hunts for us to go and go out into these zones they created. Like, I'm going to go through this beautiful fairy wonderland when we start the next expansion, and after I'm done leveling through it, see you later. I'm just going to do dungeons to level up. I'm not going to go through and... You know how many side quests I haven't done? I have exclamation marks everywhere throughout Stormblood zones.
Big same, dude. Big same.
Yeah. There's no reason for me to go back and do a lot of this stuff. And I feel like it would be nice if they could make the world feel a little bit more alive, give us things that we'd want to go do. And I don't know, I don't have really great ideas for them. There's simple things they could do that they've already done. There's making us enjoy being inside the world is fun.
Eureka feels more like a world than Final Fantasy XIV ever has. Period. I've been playing this game since 2.0. I've been playing this game since beta phase 2. It has never felt, just because of the way the way the open world is, with just teleporting around and the lack of interaction with the environment at all times. It has never felt like an open world MMO. It's
kill flying and kill the Aether. We don't need Aether anymore. The Aether teleporting. Just screw it. We just run on our mounts. Even in WoW, flying was really cool when they introduced it. The next day, though, like after the next expansion, I'm like, I don't want flying anymore. That's why they pace it out when you're doing a leveling experience, but then you still kill the world at the end of the game for these in-game players, and it's kind of, I don't like it.
So I think that's actually something they've gone backwards for within Eureka itself. Atmospherically,
yeah, I do agree.
Animos, Pagos, Pyros were all just a much more interactive place and felt better to be in terms of immersion almost.
Yeah.
And Hydatos lost that a lot because it's literally just a rectangle.
Yeah, and Hydatos,
because they have so
all of
much
that is
more
in the
to it.
dungeon. All of that is in the dungeon. I do think that of the 4 Eurekas, we were talking about this last night actually, that probably Animos was probably the best in terms of overall layout and atmosphere. Just it wasn't too annoying to get around, but it was also you still had to it felt like you were going on a journey to get around. Hydatos is it's just a big rectangle and you just kind of go wherever you want freely.
Yeah. And we're afraid to introduce that because we're so addicted to flying around and the ease of how to get through zones where we don't have to interact or do anything within the zone. We're we paid our time going through it once.
Heaven forbid people play an MMO.
Yeah. But I feel like if we just, again, and they force these old MMO styles with Eureka on us, and people aren't upset.
They're not upset about that. Right. They're upset about other things, but they're not upset about that.
Yeah, so we shouldn't be scared to try these old systems to make people, the value that you get out of people feeling like they're part of the world instead of just A to B run and it's really easy to get there because I just fly and I'm done. I don't even see the zone. I don't even know what half the zones look like anymore, to be honest with you.
I have a much more intimate knowledge of the layout and the look of all the ARR zones, from mounting around and running around and doing the fates there. But once they added the dungeon queues and flying, it's well, I don't even know what the world looks like anymore.
Yeah, because when you're flying, it's just empty air. When you're running through it, you go up and down hills and
skybox.
We're going on a huge tangent here. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's all topical.
Right. Perez, anything else you want to get off your mind?
Nothing really.
Okay.
We can just continue on. I can throw it in actually 10 minutes. My Uber is gonna.
Actually, there's something I wanted to pick your brain about, Perez, because I haven't had your opinion. I've asked a few other people, specifically about Logos actions. How do you feel they, feel to use and interact with from a tank perspective, from a DPS perspective, whatever you've played?
Well, okay, so being a warrior, being able to do 45-second releases is pretty amazing. When I'm actually being offensive spec and defensive spec, I can actually use rapid recast. For those who don't know, rapid recast halves your next ability, the cooldown, by half. So warriors rejoice. You got 45-second inner releases every third or second inner release.
I'm going to interrupt for 2 seconds just to say that you saying offensive specs and defensive specs feels really good to hear that for some reason.
Yeah. So as a tank,
specialized rules.
No, it's awesome because as a tank, I could have okay. There's abilities and then there's wisdoms, right? And then there's spirits. Spirits is kind of everyone has a spirit if they're remembered. So wisdom, it acts as a permanent buff until you die. And for tanks, we get a buff that's a flat 40% damage increase. And then on top of that, we have rapid recast where we can have the time of the next ability we use, which is in release. So now you have warriors doing 40% more damage with 45-second in releases. Now, if you don't want to be offensive spec, you could also get Wisdom of the Indomitable, which is a 3,000 flat defense boost to your defense stats. Plus, every time you take half or more of your current HP from a single attack, you get an HP boost up to 16 stacks. So like there's these awesome tools that like just make like just basic combat so much more interesting, even from a tank, right? Like I don't need to be like, pussy mode just spamming aggro combos.
I can't believe you said that. This is PG.
I'm sorry.
Good.
Okay, like I could literally be like actual man mode 45-second releases, which in my opinion is awesome. And I think healers have something similar, right? Where they can get a 60% damage increase or a flat healing increase or something. I don't know. I don't. I've never healed. But like as a tank, it's awesome. Layla, I think you've been pretty much cucked into staying defensive mode for the entirety of High Dados.
Yeah, but it's still, enjoyable enough. The thing that I thought was kind of interesting, maybe not fun, but at least interesting, is that I'm actually not like rotationally playing warrior as taking in BA as I would in just like if I was thinking Omega weapon or something, because you have to be so much more conscious of your threat tanking inside there, because you're competing with DPSs who have an enormous amount of throughput through logo sections. So threat matters so much as a main tank in BA.
You're also missing Shadewalkers and Sharks.
Depending on like your party composition, you're probably missing Sharks and maybe missing Shadewalkers. So it's like a whole new tanking game. It's a different world tanking inside BA than it is like tanking the just like regular 8-man content.
I guess the only bad side of all of this stuff is if they did actually put it into the actual game where we had to start thinking about specs and all this other stuff, they still have to balance it, right? They still have to they have to actually put some attention to it and say, hey, I need to balance this and make sure this isn't too overpowered.
With the exception of like 1 or 2 Logos actions, they're all fairly close in power levels. I think there are some that are just like kind of completely ridiculous. Like, I mean, obviously Reflect stands out as just being something that's way ridiculous in certain environments. And then Magic Burst stands out as being something highly abusable in certain environments. But you have actions like Double Edge, which are really fun. I must say, if you haven't experienced the joy of Double Edge Bloodbath farming NMs in the open Hydados, it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
If you're bored and just NM farming, try it out.
All right. But yeah, no, I didn't know if they're too balanced or not, but you're saying they're pretty balanced within that zone. Then maybe they could see like, hey, this works out pretty well.
There's definitely imbalance. Don't get me wrong. There's definitely imbalance, but it's not so large that like you couldn't say that this is impossible to balance.
Right.
I think outside of the one enormous outlier, it's fairly balanced. Yes.
Okay, so this is something they could probably put in the system of our regular leveling experience and play experience through doing raids and everything else. No, Balana's like no.
No, these actions they're intentionally there to like break the game, to be able to boost you to do crazy things,
to make you feel like you're really, really powerful, which everyone likes.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put them in the open world. I just think within the constraints of Hydados, where Hydados is, it doesn't really need to be confined by the constraints of like a normal job kit. I think that they're fun and acceptable within that, because every job has its, I guess what I mean by balanced is like every job has its ridiculously OP combination. It's just that 1 or 2 jobs have a way more ridiculously OP combination right now. But when you put like DPS able to just live all mechanics because they're wearing plate bearers and stuff, like that's not something that's good for the game. Or you also take away certain things by giving everyone access to like maybe incenses or dispels or stuff. Like you take away the opportunity for a job to maybe specialize and have that role. Like maybe one of the new classes that gets released, it has a dispel that works. So it would detract a little bit from that.
Well, I mean, what I'm thinking is they could have that system exist in the game, just not to the point that where it's broken, right? Give us variety within our jobs. I'm a warrior that spec this way. I'm a warrior that spec that way, and I'm a little bit in raids. I'm useful because I'm playing the defensive style here, but I mainly don't tank most of the fight, so I'm going to go with these offensive specs, things like that.
If you're asking if they could design an entire new set of 50 actions that were balanced, more balanced than what we currently have, and like less broken, and implement them as a means to like individualize your classes, yes, I think they can, and that would be very good for the game.
Okay.
But what it really tells me is that right now what we want is more combat specifically based in Eureka so we can use these.
Okay.
Because it feels really, really good to use them.
You just want a reason to play Black Mage more.
No, it's not even that. It's well, one of the reasons is that Rez is like disabled, and nobody likes playing Red Mage. I'm pretty sure, like, absolutely nobody does.
I'm sure there's somebody. There has to be somebody.
Dude, I have someone in my raid group that won't shut up about how great Red Mage is, dude. And it's not our caster. It's our goddamn Black Mage that won't swap out. Kurumi, you guys know. Kurumi, who doesn't. He, like, that's all he does. We're doing ultimates. We're doing stuff that we could actually benefit from Rez's. Nah, he's Black Mage.
Yeah, nobody likes Red Mage. It's a very unfulfilling job to play.
Except for that guy.
Besides the point,
pissed off that one Red Mage that lives in Ohio that's really mad right now.
Oh.
But feeling really powerful is awesome. And that's regardless of job. Yes, I'm lucky because I got the broken one right now. But everyone likes these cool new interactions, and they probably just want to do more stuff with them. Would be my best guess.
Okay.
Well, just real quick, like, because I don't know, like, something tells me that we're kind of in the direction of having these new special role-specific abilities, because they're completely abolishing the cross-roll actions, right? Like, there needs to be a substitute there, right?
I think that there'll be a big adjustment to them. Whether they abolish it, I don't think we're sure yet.
Well, no, I wait, did they? I have no clue what the actual.
Well, I mean, they made it to where you don't have to pick anything anymore.
Yeah,
right?
It's not even a system right now.
It's on its way out, I would say. Yeah.
Well, for Shadowbringers, Yoshi P said specifically that he wanted to do something with cross-roll abilities. I don't know.
Maybe he didn't. I'm just not remembering.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
Maybe
Perez, you know.
We can assume that they want something better than the current system. Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Maybe that's it. Maybe Eureka actions are going to be implemented in some way to this shitty, awful cross-roll abilities. Like, it's not shitty and awful. I just think it's kind of lame.
Well, the system that doesn't exist.
It's shitty and awful.
Yeah.
It's shitty and awful.
It's shitty awful. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so one other thing I kind of want to go back to the community part about it, because that's kind of what this whole public dungeon is part of like the community at this point, and they're all interacting together, and we saw how Aether interacted together, then we see how Primal does, and we see how these other data centers do. And we can kind of start to see the different perspectives. Like you were telling, Layla, you were saying about how EU, Chaos, they were literally just trying to troll as much as they could to screw over the team inside. And so will this kind of community interaction stuff be good for the game, or will it be bad? Will people just troll each other and fuck each other over?
There's no way it can't be bad if I'm sorry. There's no way it can't be good if enough incentive is applied to it. Even in the situation where you have people trolling, eventually you're going to reach a point where they're just hindering themselves. Like if that supporting them had better incentives to it, I mean, but like not doing it would just be stupid.
Right.
And I mean, I have seen firsthand that Hydatos has been more communal than any other content in the game, except for maybe people who do maps together.
So one of the when this content was, or Baldesion Arsenal specifically was like sales pitched to us, it was presented as a thing that you really needed a strong community to get through it. So even in, like, you know, I think the whole purpose of these low rewards from that supporting them is intentional, so that people aren't just doing it for themselves, and that to clear this entire piece of content, you need to have that community thing. And that's why other groups, and we were very blessed to have it, other groups were a little less successful as well.
It's a fair take. It's a fair take.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's something that we have to grow within the game itself too is that people need to not be pieces of shit, and you have to give reasons for. And it's so weird because we're talking about different types of people in every single community. There's different types of communication within EU. They have their own little groups of people, and it's EU's kind of really interesting, to be honest with you, because of how many different areas where people just don't speak the same language interacting with each other, and people not talking to each other because they're like, I can't talk to you. I'm just going to talk with other people who speak the same language I do. So EU has this really interesting dynamic with that. NA, kind of straightforward. Everybody can easily kind of get together. JP has a whole different style community. We all speak what?
We all speak cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger, exactly. And Doritos.
Yeah.
But JP has a different, unique community just because it's the culture over there is different. The gaming culture in general is. And so right now, Square Enix is developing community-based content for 3 different worlds of communities. And it's kind of interesting how they have to do it because they may make assumptions based on the community in the JP servers, and then that just doesn't carry over well to EU and NA. And so I don't know, should they make it to where we're forced to just be good to each other, or do they need to give them incentives to say, well, if you're not good, then you don't get rewarded?
No, I mean, you guys are kind of selling me a bit on what the problem actually is and what would, remove the problem. And maybe you're right that when they release stuff like this with the intent of bringing a community together, we're forcing a community to come together for just the pure sake of coming together is the only way to actually do it. I mean, that's what happened on Aether.
To accentuate
during the show, EU did clear BA, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Congratulations to them,
so,
yeah. And it's funny because we say EU cleared it and not this FC and this FC and this. It's EU. That data center cleared it.
Well, I mean, they only have one data center right now, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's always a data center wide effort. So,
yeah.
EU specifically, they can literally say EU killed it.
Right.
NA is split up across 2 data centers, so.
Yeah.
To really drive home how important the community aspect of it is, the time that we killed it was first, we had 48 out of 48 of our groups get in the portals to start with, and then we had all 8 out of 8 get through the support NM.
It was a full portals. 56 out of 56 portal success.
We had dozens of parties, well, not dozens, but several parties that weren't even part of our pre-made queuing in to help us kill the support NM specifically.
I guess my issue is I really appreciate that it was a community effort, and obviously shout outs to everyone that did help. I just wish that there was more reward for those people that helped, because I feel like they should have been rewarded for their work. I don't know.
Well, I mean, let's talk about how many times you guys have cleared it since you've cleared it, right? And what do you guys get out of your second clear? Just more fragments, I guess.
A lot of it.
A lot of gil. You get upgrade items. You get a lot of fragments. Yeah. You get chances at minions, orchestral rolls. It's definitely worth doing multiple times. And what we've also done, like if this wasn't obvious, is people who helped us with the first clear, we gave them first priority in coming in on the re-clear, so that they could get their mount and their achievement and stuff.
Right. And so you're working to help people who already helped you, and already you're building kind of a healthy community in that sense. Is that these people, hey, I got your back if you got my back. That builds a lot of trust.
I think we're very lucky in that that culture already existed around us, so that we can just sort of build on that. Whereas one example that I can think of in Gaia Data Center, for example, the way that culture started was really, really bad, and that's why it took them considerably longer to kill it originally.
So I'm interested to see what kind of content they create to make us feel like we're part of a community. Because that does feel good in the end. I like it to not.
You guys brought me over. I agree. I think that incentivizing it just for the sake of somebody wanting to help out, just because it benefits them, it's not the play.
Yeah, because I mean, it's a weird mind fuck, right? You're thinking, yeah, people should be rewarded they should have a reason to do it, but the reason, if we could make the reason be not being a piece of shit, that would be great.
Yep.
So we'll see where they take it. I mean, they might, because in the end, we are full of people who are pieces of shit, unfortunately. And so this content might not be able to be completed after the next few weeks or so, unless people have a reason to kill it, maybe they won't do it. I don't know.
So to like kind of branch off what you said,
Mhm.
because like I interacted more or less with the 7 different groups, which in turn is like 56 people, right? And for the most part, everyone was like super cooperative. I don't know if this is just because
Perez would know better than everyone because he also orchestrated the support groups for these runs, and the support groups like they have the riskiest job of all if they want to get a clear,
Yeah.
because there's only 8 portals for them to get, and there's 8 people in that group. So they're coming along risking a lot, and a lot of them were just doing it. They were willing to risk it because they were being helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so like, because we have a system where if people aren't in a party and they want to be in a party, they join the LFG channel within the Discord. And what we do is we pull people from that channel. And what ends up happening is like those people that are waiting for like 2 to 3 hours just AFKing in a channel in the hopes that we would give them a spot, they end up just joining the support group. And then there's like a very high probability that they could just like not even get into the arsenal as like at all, right?
Mhm.
And what I did, just as an example, I went to the LFG channel and I gave them that same disclaimer. I'm like, look, you're probably not going to get in. And like 2 or 3 people, like, well, 100% of the people that like I actually ended up dragging in seemed like they didn't care. They just wanted to help, right?
Mhm.
And like so to bring it back, yeah, a lot of people are assholes, but honestly, I think that's just the loud majority versus like the silent minority, or
Mhm.
sorry, silent majority versus loud minority.
Mhm.
Yes. And like you're always gonna, the trolls are always gonna stand out, the griefers are always gonna stand out,
Mhm.
but people are pretty chill when it comes to doing the arsenal for now.
It's funny because this brings back to a point. I was talking to at this the other day, and he was doing an interview, and he was saying how he was asking a lot of people how, hey, what's the best thing about Final Fantasy 14? First thing they say is community. They're like, community is the best thing in the world. It's the best community ever. And I told him the worst thing about the game was the community. I mean, because there's the best and the worst comes from us. We have like these 2 super heavy extremes of really nice, cool people and really shitty, horrible people. Like we have people out there making link shells about how to harass people, and a lot worse than just harass. But I won't go too much into it. There's people out there who come together to just fuck other people over, and so that's probably in every game, probably every single internet area in the world. But I mean, we can't just sugarcoat it. We have a good community, but we also have some really shitty people who have developed part of the community. And so it's weird, right? It's weird when we start talking about this because we have to not forget and turn a blind eye to what is actually out there.
Yeah. And like just from firsthand experience with the 55 other people, 55 different personalities, for the most part, well, actually, no, I can't even say for the most part, like though everyone that I've interacted with was super cooperative. They were super understanding. They knew that, look, you probably weren't going to get the same you definitely weren't going to get the same fragments as everyone else that was in arsenal groups, and they were 100% okay with it. So I think for now, just kind of like let the griefers do what they want to do, if there even is any griefers, like on Aether, like Chaos and Primal or whatever data centers. Apparently there actually is griefers, actual like dickheads out there, but Aether right now is pretty clean, and I just hope that we can actually keep it that way.
Yeah.
And sorry, I was gonna say I have to go. My Uber is gonna be here in like 5 minutes.
I'm gonna say one more thing here for you.
Yeah, go for it.
On the community part, I was actually watching something about somebody trying to clear this, and just like in the middle of the fucking raid, someone just told them to all shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe,
Imagine that, eh? Well, he didn't say shut up. He said shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Like he has the right.
Like unreal, dude. What an
Can you believe these toxic personalities in the NA rating community? Unbelievable.
I mean,
yeah. All right.
It's a surprise that JP didn't beat us, dude. I don't know how the hell we came together. Us individuals.
All right, Perez. Thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah,
It's always a
I'll
pleasure.
fix the cameras after you leave. Don't worry about it too much. Just
All right, I'm just gonna stop the video.
Yeah. Okay.
Gonna-
Are you gonna just leave it up and mute
My
yourself?
hands in the no, I'm out.
Okay.
All right,
All
I'll
right.
see you guys.
Thanks so
Yeah.
much, Perez.
You know the worst part about that clip that people criticize is it's cut at the worst time. Not even 2 seconds after that do I congratulate everybody. Like, come on, man.
Oh, it was good. It was good.
Anyway, but to like provide some light, like I really don't need to explain myself, but I will just because you're setting up cameras and stuff, and we have some downtime.
Yeah.
They're in the Arsenal. You're in an environment where one wrong step can wipe your entire raid that you spent, setting up like an hour and a half to get inside.
Mhm.
And when people are cluttering comms and you can't communicate, you can't communicate with the person who's scouting for traps, you're at a high risk of wasting everyone's time and potentially wasting 56 players' times.
Right.
What would you say the turnaround is from run to run? Zone in to zone in.
The turnaround?
Yeah.
In terms of like
Zone in to zone in. How long would that be?
Zone in
we
to
were-
zone in?
When we were progging, or if we were just doing like clears.
Progging, which is
When
what we were
progging-
doing.
So from our the first time we did absolute virtue normally to when we killed it, those 2 pulls, it was 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
So you'd be wasting 3 hours of time.
Yeah.
That was with a little break. We all had to go relevel and this and that, but yeah.
Like you need to really have very clear communication inside there, more so than we just killed a 24-man boss. Like that's not what that dungeon is. That dungeon is death waiting around every corner, and we keep comms very clear when like exploring new rooms and stuff, because you have to. We've had too many runs where somebody gets excited and runs ahead and explodes, and oh, guess what? That was Group D's healer. No, well, I guess now Group D is all jeopardized because they are down a healer, so they're at more of a risk of now failing the run as well. It's very important to like keep things clear, keep things able to keep stuff organized, and when you just kill a new boss for the first time and you have no idea what's around the next corner, like there could have been a trap. There could have been a trap waiting for us on that chest for all we do. You have no idea. How excited do you think people would be if they kill a boss, they go to open the chest, and they explode and nobody gets their loot? Do you think that would be fun? I don't think it'd be fun.
I think that would be fun to watch. It would be fun to watch.
I would laugh my ass off if that happened.
It's also not only the dangers that we'd just dealt with the boss by going through portals, finding traps, spawning NMs outside, all this really convoluted stuff that you wouldn't expect. So you don't actually know what's coming next. Another boss could have dropped down for all we knew. There is so many things that could have happened that clarity and control is very, very important at that time.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me, I mean, adding trap. What do you guys think about adding traps to like content and going through it? Is that something that you guys actually enjoy?
Well, they gave us a Lego section to deal with it, and that was basically 100% they added those traps just so they could hide that portal. Those traps are like completely nothing. Like once you start running perception, and they all kind of spawn around the same area. So
when you don't know the spawn areas, though, you're scared.
Yeah.
When you're not familiar with them, you are very scared.
Dude, I was the perception guy for like the first few times we were pushing through. It was like, I'm gonna go real slow. All right, here we go. Scan, nothing around here. Oh, I detected a trap. Where is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Is it over here? No. Is it over there?
I think it's
you're playing Minesweeper with your life.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to see when you guys were going into Ozma for the first time. You're like, let's send Layla down there, and then one healer, and just see what happens, right? And see what we
even before that. Yeah. Even before we sent one person down, some person who wasn't even in voice, I'm pretty sure, jumped down and then fell off the platform. That was our first time seeing Ozma. It was incredible.
They jumped down. We're like, don't jump down. They're like, oh, let me just turn around and go back up. So they turned around and just ran right off the platform.
That was great.
Although, what would have been fucking horrible is if we had like, okay, let's just send in Layla and a healer and see how far they get. If they had lasted all the way up to the suck, we all would have gotten sucked out.
Oh.
You think so?
Oh,
Yeah, it pulls everybody in the instance out. Yeah.
Oh my
my
God.
god!
Okay.
Could you imagine?
How much you would have learned?
So uh, even though that person completely fucked up, they did teach us what happens when you fall off, at least. So we learned something
Everybody's
from.
death did not go unwasted. Put
Yeah.
it that way.
Okay.
Progressing through it actually was very different to the way that I have progged anything else in this game before. Usually there's a much higher quantity of pulls, and obviously you always focus on the quality of those pulls as well, but in this one it was 100% on quality of pulls. Every single boss, you're doing absolutely everything you can to maximize every single individual person's life every time you go in there.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
we
and that's
are-
the mentality you guys run with, though. I mean, that's you guys are world progress, so you do that all the time already. But
It's a very different way to approach it now in that
You can't just be like, oh, just Verray's forehead.
yeah, you can't just pull a boss, go in blind, pull a boss. Let's see what happens. We'll just be able to pull again in 3 seconds. No, we can pull again in like 2 hours from now. So you've got to use every single resource available to you, and quite often that's people, where you just send in a party of testers. And sorry guys, but you're the guinea pigs.
Or watching somebody else streaming it. We should stream World Prog, by the way. We had what was it? It was 4 pulls of Absolute Virtue. 2 of those were Troll. So only 2 pulls of like the actual Absolute Virtue to down it, and I think it was 3 of Ozma.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
I mean, that's not too bad. But that was over the lifespan of like 24 hours, right?
Yeah, and I think the extras we had 1 extra JP pull of AV that we really used to just like map everything out.
Yeah, I don't think it taught us anything we didn't know or suspect.
There was 1 pull of Ozma that we got a lot of info from. It was after we went to bed the first night. I think it was Primal's pull, actually. They had a different pattern than us, and we were able to analyze that and get a lot of information.
All right, they got triangles, but we knew. Well, we had a theory of what triangle did. We just didn't know that the orbs could be randomized.
Yeah,
it was about it. Yeah.
But all right, so let's talk a little bit about now that you guys are actually done with it. You've done it a few times. How much longer are you guys going to keep going at it? When you're like, I'm kind of bored of this. I don't think I want to do it
Promise
anymore.
Mal, I would do it 10 times for his achievement, so I'm at least doing 10 times.
Okay.
I think it'll be something you could do like weekly. You tell everybody, hey, farm up a key. You have a whole week to do it. Farm up a key, because if you don't have keys, you're not gonna be able to do pre-mades pretty soon. And maybe like run it once a week. It's kind of a cool thing to do.
So something that I've thought about is that this is something that's going to be really, really good to repeat on off jobs. You farm up a little bit of gear, your elemental gear, which is easy enough to get, the left side, not including the weapon. Because mechanically it's very easy, and you don't have to be like incredibly proficient at your class. You just got to be able to do mechanics and like not be dumb.
Right.
So doing it on off jobs is also going to be really, really fun as well, because that way you get to do it again from a different perspective, and it's not like your savage lockouts where you can do it once a week and get nothing for it every time after that, or you're going on a really undergeared job. You don't have those sort of constraints. So I think it's got a lot of repeatability, which is really, really cool.
Okay. So you guys could do like Saturday AB or whatever BA Saturday BAs. You guys say, hey, Saturday morning we're all gonna do this. Watch cartoons off on the side and get this cleared.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends like how many people continue wanting to do it. We'll have to gauge interest like over time. I think this first week people are highly interested. So it's really easy to make parties. We'll just see if it remains over time. I think it's pretty fun right now. I kind of want to I like the fact that there's not that you, like what Sfia said, you can just zone in on kind of whatever job you want, because I think that's gonna break up the monotony of it a little bit as time goes on. Like I kind of want to zone in as my samurai and just hit things with double edge and try not to kill myself. Like I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Samurai could probably pump.
Yeah, I think samurai pumps in there. Like I think there's a lot of fun to be had there. And the fact that it's so the accessibility is so easy. The barrier of entry is so small. I mean, for your alt jobs to zone in, I think is what's going to keep it fun for a while.
So I guess this is kind of interesting to talk about this too. This is like the first difficult content that you've been able to optimize and use these extra actions besides just cheesing mobs. Like you're using it to raid with now. And so this is kind of a new experience as well. Because you're having to think of all this other stuff, and then you're like, maybe I can try it on this job and just see what I can break and be crazy with other jobs, and that could be interesting.
A lot of fun.
It's
Sfia
really
would know
new.
more than anybody, just because, like, I mean, Black Mage changes so much with what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But like, just from the slightly different than what you're saying, the having and managing raid buffs across a group of 56 players is a lot more coordinated. If you want to be like, if you go in there with the intention of killing Ozma as fast as possible, you need to be coordinating multiple trick attacks, multiple contagions, and just whatever other CDs you have at your disposal to get the most out of your raid. And that's a lot more organization than just organizing, your CDs across an 8-man.
Right.
So I've been having kind of a lot of fun thinking about that, just because it's kind of new, and organizing 56 buffs for 56 people is new right now, so it seems fun.
Yeah, it's also because... Sorry, carry on.
No, go ahead.
You done? It's also because we're in patch 4.5 now, and the combat for this expansion has very much been figured out. People have been playing pretty much the same way for a very long time now, so we have something that actually makes us think again and get creative and figure out what's good, what's bad, and how things work. And it's like that sort of bliss period you have at the start of the expansion where you have all these new abilities and you don't know how everything interacts really like optimally, and you have to actually think for yourself instead of just going to the balance Discord and looking up optimal rotation. It's cool. There's space to use your brain again.
Yeah, I mean, and it feels good, right? I mean, that's part of what video games are. You feel good learning and figuring things out, creating solutions for puzzles out there. I feel like we are losing that a little bit. But, God, I had a question that I wanted to ask, and I can... Oh, yeah, okay. So when we're talking about figuring out buffs for 56 people, figuring out all this different things of how to get it all together, you're also figuring out who needs to go to the bathroom, who's at the keyboard, who's ready to go, who's doing all this stuff, because people just disappear sometimes. I mean, that was a big issue with 40-man raids back in the day with WoW, is that you're literally trying to get 40 people together, make sure they have everything they need, make sure they're not going to just, they're actually at the keyboard ready to go. They all have all the potions, all the other stuff. And some people didn't like that aspect. Do you think that having that return in some form or fashion in Final Fantasy be okay?
So
it's too early to say, because right now we use Discords and stuff to communicate and organize things. Because everything is very organized right now. So we are actually very strict about like people AFKing, because AFKing, it doesn't just jeopardize your life, it actually jeopardizes everyone's life. People don't realize. And so we're very strict about it, and we can hold people to a standard, because if you don't uphold that standard, we just don't bring you on runs anymore. When us not bringing them on runs starts to matter less and less to them, because pugs are clearing it and they can just kind of YOLO it. Who knows? I mean, who knows where the line's going to be drawn? But it is a big problem. I can say that when you're organized and doing it, we didn't run into many issues outside of like maybe 1 or 2 times where we had to call somebody out.
There's also the systems in the game currently don't really allow for management of this type of thing. You have to queue in as individual parties. If you could go as 2 separate alliances, it would make things so much easier. Ready checks are 24-man wide. Markers can be seen by all 24, all 3 parties. Even little things like that become so much easier when just the size of what you're taking in becomes larger. Because we had to, make screenshots of marker layouts to show to people to put it in this way.
Oh my gosh,
we had to have each party leader do ready checks and then drop into a different channel and say, yes, my party's ready, my party's ready, my party's ready. It was... Those types of things are all because of the limitations from the systems in the game, which I think can easily be worked on.
Big point, yeah. There needs to be, if this is going to be content that's going to be repeated again in the future, the next iteration of this content needs to have more support for these large raids. There needs to be like raid ready checks need to be able to extend raid wide, exactly like he said. Like there needs to be raid wide visible markers and stuff. The game is so silly right now that when you're in, I mean, this isn't a huge deal, but it's just a small little thing. When you're pulling trash inside the instance, a lot of times it's very common for teams to like, you know how trash mobs have numbers, not numbers, letters assigned to them based on the enemy list.
Mm-hmm.
And like one team will call it, oh, attack P, or I'm sleeping Q. And it's like, what's Q for them is not Q for another party because all the parties
Right,
are
right.
different. I mean, there's just no like unification across parties with regards to any of this. And
Mm-hmm.
if this is going to be a thing going forward where they want parties working together on content, then they've got to fix it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's very much square peg, round hole. The game does nothing
Yes.
to organize this for us.
Right. Well, I mean, like, didn't they also kind of want the aspect of just people who are around just kind of getting together to do it and not actually getting in a group and organizing a pre-maze, just people in that area, like an open world boss almost?
It just all goes back to my point, though, of is that actually going to happen? Time will tell. My opinion, based on the shouts that I've seen in chat, is you're typically going to have more organized teams doing this than unorganized teams, which is why I think, this is just my prediction, I'm just going rogue here on a limb, I think that their target marker for who this content is targeting is going to miss the mark a bit. I think this is, at the end of it all, going to target players who prefer the organized pre-made runs more than anything. I think that those people are going to be the ones that are pulling Ozma more, and my prediction is that the public nature of this will hopefully change in the future to something a bit more exclusive to, hey, I'm taking in at least my party, and my party is doing this.
Speaking of systems, something that absolutely 100% needs to be fixed if they're going to do 56-man instances is culling. We had a nail that was culled and people couldn't see it, right? And I've got a 2-word horror story for you. Culled exaflare.
Yep. We had... Have you ever tried dodging invisible exaflares?
Like, it's not fun. That was reality fun.
Today. That was reality today.
I feel like I know culling is something different than what you guys know culling as.
So, you know when there's too many things, like you go to a hunt, right? And back in the day,
you mean like
the hunt would flicker in and out of existence because it was being culled because there were too many things on the screen.
That happens with ground textures.
Yeah. We had exaflares, a mechanic which is literally you have to be able to see it to deal with it. It was invisible.
We also had a Gungnir, which if you're familiar with Odin, Gungnirs, you have to kill the Gungnirs before
right.
Or you die. We had a Gungnir spawn that was like literally cold and unattackable by like half the raid. So we're sitting there watching Raiden channeling Ultimate Zantetsuken while tethered. We're like, I really hope somebody can see that thing and kill it because I sure as hell can't.
Mm-hmm.
And it got real close to the Caspar finishing. So I don't know. That's definitely something they need to improve.
Isn't that a setting that you change on your own UI though? No?
Not to that extreme, no.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. No.
There's even on the maximum, there's still a limit of the number of things that'll show on the screen.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, again, hopefully this is them learning, and they see that. And we told them now, Square Enix, you're watching this, I'm sure, and so you're taking notes. And this, when we introduce the next 56, we'll figure out, how that system's going to work.
I mean, maybe what's going to happen is that 56 in the future will just be a bit too large of a number for them, just technology wise.
24 is fine. I think if we see,
I definitely prefer more than 24 though. Like,
really,
there was something special about the fact that we had that many groups in there. Like, I don't know, 40 players. I think is a good number. I feel like 5 groups. I felt like was a good middle ground.
Okay.
If you're trying to do like really big, large scale content, I feel like 40 is a good number. That's probably something to talk about too. Like 56 might have been a bit too much.
Mm-hmm. 56 is weird to me for some reason. It just feels like a weird number because that's 6 groups, right?
I think 56.
7.
Well, it's 7 groups.
No, 7 groups.
7
here,
groups, right. But kind of it feels like the run is designed for 6 groups, and the 7th group is just an extra.
Mm.
Because the way that you don't need 6 groups obviously to complete the dungeon. You can probably do it with as few as 4.
Right.
But
I think 3. But
I mean, depends how stacked I'm saying. But
yeah,
like you have 6 rooms that need to be completed at the same time. You have 6 circles on Ozma's ring, which isn't super important, but kind of is. It's just the dungeon is based around 6 groups for sure. The 7th is there as a buffer.
I mean, there's some stuff they could do with multi-groups as well. As like, if they had 6 total groups together, you can have 3 fighting one boss and 3 fighting another boss in 2 separate rooms, and they got to complete mechanics together. And there's stuff. It could be taken into a lot of different directions. It would be interesting to see large-scale stuff. Difficulty-wise, though, you guys were telling me how this was kind of, it felt like a 24-man level difficulty.
I'd put it between a 24-man and an extreme primal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It bridges that gap in terms of actually executing the mechanics.
Yeah, in terms of like raw mechanic execution, it's somewhere above a 24-man and somewhere like on the lower spectrum of an extreme primal.
It's only Ozma though. The other ones are like 24-man or easier.
Yeah, Ozma is basically that way. Yeah, it really what it comes down to is if you're fighting Ozma in an environment where dying didn't matter, just an absolute pushover.
Yeah.
Ozma is only stressful because of the nature of if you do die, there's no coming back.
Like
And it was an hour and a half to get there.
The closest best comparison I can come up with is Titan EX. Because if you get knocked off on Titan X, you're dead. You're gone.
Titan EX, wonderful. Titan EX, where if you got knocked off, you didn't get credit.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I mean, it's kind of nice. I don't mind these kind of artificial difficulty additions to it. I mean, but let's say they stick to the system. How much more difficult can they make this before it's unenjoyable? Like, it's just not fun to do anymore. I know I'm probably asking the wrong people this question.
Yeah,
but
I think if they wanted to make it more mechanically difficult, they need to lower the number of people that go in.
Yep. Mechanics are always a lot more difficult the more people you have.
And the other interesting thing is, of course, the DPS checks and everything. You guys feel if it's optimized teams that this stuff will be blown apart, right?
So there's a really big
understatement.
There's a really big discrepancy in going there with Plate Bearer and surviving to see mechanics, and going in there with the objective to blow it up as fast as possible. The damage that you do between those like 2 variables is obscene because of how much you can customize your loadout.
Our very first enrage on AV, we enraged at 45%. Our next pull, when we were wearing full DPS Logos actions, we killed it 1 minute and 20 seconds ahead of enrage. So it's like that much of a swing.
Yeah, we're doing some math. We're looking around a little bit. We might be able to just blow these bosses up in like 2 minutes each.
Yeah, if you bring the optimal comp with, big offensive logos, these bosses can absolutely be obliterated.
I feel like if they introduce this again, they introduce the same system. One of the things that I saw they were doing this, and I'm like, a couple people asked me like, "Are you going to be tracking any of this?" I'm like, "How the fuck do I track this?" Right? I don't really know how, but it would be interesting because I have basically 6 teams that could go against it, and they're each Aether is a team, Primal is a team, and in the end, I could just count it by the data center and just say this is what data center cleared it first. But I don't know, and that might make people try to come together a little more. I don't know.
We got first and third then.
What?
We got first and third then. Aether got the first kill and the third kill.
Oh.
My question for you, Frosty, is next time one of these is released, is it going to be something that you actively track as part of World Regression? Because that's your thing now.
No, that's what I was thinking. If I did, how would I need to format that? Because it's not, I can't format it in, I mean, sure, we could try for FCs, but if they have the same system where someone can go in there and they can't control who's going in almost, it's how do you...
It's a data center thing. I don't know if like tracking it is necessary. I mean, it's such a... When one data center kills it, I mean, that's a data center wide effort. This is maybe specific to Eureka, like maybe future large scale contents they do won't be like this. But, if you had asked me 3 days ago, like, should you have tracked Hydatos? Like, the answer is no, because it's a data center wide effort. And
I disagree.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we disagree then.
Here's the thing, though: if it's a competition, you could just have like some spy, like a Shabib Mustafar, just show up and like fuck up the support end.
There's the other part, yeah.
You're never gonna clear. Never gonna clear here. Somebody showed up on Warrior. Some EU spy came over and undercut Aether. Like,
I mean, that's the other problem. Hopefully they fix the system and it's not like that anymore in the future. But yeah, this wouldn't be, I guess, trackable because of that. It's so easy to screw over other people. I don't know. It would be cool. It'd be cool to see and count this progression towards each data center in some way or fashion. But they would have to fix a lot of systems with it. It'd just be fun because people would feel a part of it. I mean, there's people who are in your group when you guys cleared it. I'm like, this guy should not be. I know this guy. He should not be in a world first group of clearing content, but he's there with you, and he did it.
Like, I want to also emphasize again, because this is a point that I was making earlier. This type of content rewards different skill sets. This isn't content that necessarily requires high mechanical skill. This is the type of content that rewards a skill set of, I'm a team player and I can listen to teammates. That's what this content is. And I'll tell you right now, that's a team that's a skill set that many world first players even lack. So there's plenty of opportunity for people to like shine in this style of content. Yeah, I guess that's
okay. Different types of people can kind of work together, and they're good with working with the team. Okay. Oh, God, I had this other question that I thought of in the middle of all this, but I completely forgot what the question was, and I feel really shitty about it because I felt really happy about the question when I thought of it. But it's too late. I should have typed it out in the document when you guys were talking, but, well, that's fine. We kind of hit a lot of the points that I had in my document, so I didn't know if you guys had anything else on the top of your minds that you're like, I want to get this out and talk about this.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I have something that's actually very, very near and dear to me.
Okay.
I think it's pretty unanimous to say that one of the most enjoyable parts about the Arsenal and progressing the Arsenal for the first time is the fact that we were actually progressing a real raid dungeon. We were traveling through a dungeon, exploring it. We had no idea what was around every corner. I was not teleported onto a circular platform facing chaos and starting a countdown timer. Like, that's not what this was.
Right.
Is there like anyone out there who did not enjoy the experience of actually exploring a real raid? I'd really like to meet that person because
they're out there.
More fun, I felt like.
I think the most telling line was somebody was like, "Is this what WoW raids feel like?"
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Like, everyone just brought that up. Like, oh, I guess we're raiding WoW now. Melody's comment was the funniest. Like, we finished the day and he's like, so how'd you guys enjoy the WoW Classic beta? Because WoW Classic was all 40-man raiding and it was traveling into deep into raid dungeons, exploring them, and it really was like that. It was a throwback to the days of real raiding. Final Fantasy is fake raiding, dude. I'm just gonna be honest.
Right, back to Square Enix. We like real raids. Look at Kara from Burning Crusade. That's what people really like. The saying. But man, it's so funny how that one raid from WoW carries forever, right? Forever. Everyone loved that. I can't think of anyone who hated that raid. And I wish that we could go back to that kind of style where we're exploring some castle or some tower or some environment in a raid to clear stuff.
I mean, they kind of tried it with Binding Coil, like T1, T2, T3. Did you enjoy T3? Did you
T3 doesn't exist, dude.
But that wasn't one zone, right? That was going into another zone, and this was the little mini challenge, and going into another zone, and this was the mini.
Nobody enjoyed the fact that you had to queue into something that was a waste of time. But if it's all, there's something to be said. If it's all a part of the same instance, you're much more. First of all, you're much more immersed in that instance, and it just feels more complete instead of half baked.
Right. Yeah, it's true. I mean, compare like going and doing the monastery, the whatever Oberon monastery.
Orban, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. You're like running around. You're like, oh, we're in a cool, crazy big thing, and then you go and you queue into Savage, and you're on a circle platform, and you're facing chaos.
While those 24-mans are very good, and honestly, some of the best design zones in the game. I think Orban Monastery is one of the best design zones in the game. The one thing that they do lack, though, is that kind of like puzzle style nature and an exploration aspect that a real raid dungeon should have. I mean, Arsenal has real puzzles in it. I mean, the AV exploration for a portal was a real puzzle.
Yeah.
And it's random every time. It's not something that you just know where it is every time and you go to the same spot every time, which is one of the reasons that people didn't like Turn 3 is, as I recall, God, it's been so many years, but as I recall, the pathway for getting down to the bottom was static every time. There's no exploration there. And that to me is just what this game needs. Like, you need to be exploring raid dungeons, going deeper into them, and finding bosses as you go. And I kind of wonder, in the back of my mind, I'm hopeful that this was maybe a test.
We always think everything with this is just a test, and we're hoping
it's just a test.
Maybe Eureka's been a testing ground for a lot of other things, so wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe this is what they wanted to see. Like,
is
this how we should be doing raids?
If you think about it, they had a pretty healthy life cycle for releasing Eureka content, and they make a new zone every single time they do this. And instead of maybe creating a Eureka type content, just go to raids and put a live zone in a raid and go forward with it and make a easy mode of it for, you know, the story mode, and then make the savage mode and just run with it. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that, but I mean, that would make everybody happy because you're not making content that other people can't really experience, I guess, if that makes sense.
Bold move by SE is actually story that's gated behind clearing this.
Yeah, I was happy, and you guys know that. I was very happy to see that. And I hope that people get over it. And I haven't heard too many people complaining about it, but I know it's probably out there. Okay, one of the other things, and this is probably one of the other topics that this is what I thought of, is that every time we have a new raid or a new Ultima or Ultimate or something of that way, people watch it because they don't have access to it. Eureka was no exception. It increased a lot of interest on Twitch that people watched. Sfia knows very well. This got a lot of attention, and it maybe not the exact same level as Ultima or something like that, but it was good because it advertises the game. And I feel like they need to actually keep doing content that makes people want to watch people be good at the game. And do you guys agree with that, or?
I'm not going to disagree. I'll tell you that much. I am not going to disagree.
Right. Are you even? I have to ask you. Are you going to be streaming a lot more now, or are you going to?
Well, I mean, I've got to stream like 5 more days this month minimum because I'm going to get like I've met all the conditions for the path to partner thing simply because of that.
Yeah.
Like, it's obscene. It was
a lot of people
really
get
cool
partnership with that.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to go through that. But now, does that mean that you're going? Because you weren't a very regular streamer before, right?
Off and on. I go through periods of streaming a lot and then not streaming much, just depending on my schedule.
Right.
But I mean, I'm definitely going to stream more at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing though about streaming Final Fantasy is that there's not really a lot of interesting things to watch other than blind prog. Like, there's no real good way to like flex sort of like individual skill or things like that, other than I've got a parser up in the corner, like that. Like, so. Blind prog is really what people watch. We've seen that with the Ultimates. We saw it with this. But the thing is, if you're going for world first, it's still going to super handicap yourself. Like, we saved 20. We would have had to pull 25% more if we didn't watch these other streams. Guaranteed. Even though technically that's only one pull per boss. But
yeah.
Right.
That's 12 hours.
Yeah.
Prog time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I mean, what I was thinking is that every single patch that they release, they have something that people would want to watch on stream.
I mean, if they put an arsenal or a public dungeon at the end of every Eureka, I don't think it's feasibly possible because of the amount of development time that must have.
Well, they did Ultimate, then Raid, and Ultimate, then Raid, right? So they kind of had that almost for a little while, but
yeah.
So I talk about this with my WoW friends actually a lot. Specifically, I was talking to my buddy Saraz about this, and because we were talking about streaming in WoW versus streaming in Final Fantasy, and also just progressing in both games. It's easier. So everyone's familiar with like method streaming prog and World First, both BFA tiers right now while doing so. they're able to do that because in a game like WoW, you're able to flex your individual skill a bit more mechanically. I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to downplay either game. I've played both at a fairly high level,
Mhm.
and you're able to flex your individual skill a bit more to the point where it's not all about the puzzle and the information that separates you as a player. Whereas Final Fantasy is a game that is literally a battle of information. It's always been that way since Realm Reborn. It's a battle of information, and it's a battle of which teams solve puzzles quicker. There have been rare exceptions of tight DPS checks, but to be frank, I mean, every player knows how to do DPS now, so that is kind of not part of the equation anymore. It's just a battle of information and puzzles at this point. And when you're streaming something like be it Eureka or be it like Savage or even Ultimates, you are giving up a large amount of the equation on a silver platter to your opposition, to your competition.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's like almost 90% of the equation, it just makes it a toss up. I mean, like, yeah, we were the first to kill Ozma. Does that mean that I think that we're like better? Not really. I mean, we got probably more pulls per hour than they did. Maybe that means, okay, maybe I'll say that maybe we're better at organizing large scale groups of people, but doesn't mean we're better any mechanically or more smart. It just means we're better at organizing. Because it's an information game that is the secret. The perks of the information game are completely lost when you offer it on a silver platter through streaming.
I think so. I mean, that's during progression, right? So
Yeah.
If we look at life of streaming Final Fantasy 14 after progression, there's not a lot stream. And again, I don't know with WoW because I don't watch WoW, but I assume it's pretty much the same. Is that it's doing content that they kind of have access to, right?
I guess I lost what you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, so the popularity of streaming an MMO in general is very low because there's not a lot of interesting content that people care to watch from an MMO's perspective outside of prog.
Sure.
That's not necessarily the case with WoW, though, because of M+.
Okay.
Well, so there are two reasons that you'd say watch like an MMO stream. It's A, you want to see what a top player is doing so you can replicate it, or B, you want to see what another player is doing because it's content that you either haven't experienced or want to experience but can't. I would say those are probably the two biggest reasons. And then the three is that you just really like the guy's community and you want to hang out with him. Sure.
Which is the successful streams of Final Fantasy 14.
That's what Final Fantasy streamers are. Yeah, they like the community. That's the biggest Final Fantasy streamers are the ones that have developed a community that their viewers like, and that's why they show up. In Final Fantasy, you're only going to get the other viewer base during blind prog, like we've said, because there's not anything other than that to stream.
I think the biggest thing for Final Fantasy that it's hindering that is the lack of meaningful, repeatable content which actually engages you. Everything else is gated by either weekly lockouts or things like that. There's nothing that you can feel like you're doing to actively progress your character in like a combat sense on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. I mean, I can't disagree with that at all. All right, so that was the last topic I was thinking about with this whole show and everything else. Do you guys have anything else on your mind?
I did have something that I want to talk about.
All right.
It's a comment that came up earlier about a lot of people being in the zones and wanting to go in, but saying, "Oh no, I'm way too scared," and not necessarily knowing the best steps that they can take to go into the arsenal and get involved. I think step one is being part of the community that's doing it. The Discord is a huge step for that. We should probably plug it after the stream.
Yeah, multiple Discords at this point.
But other than that, there are definitely things you can be doing in the meantime to prepare yourself to go in there. And elemental gear is one of them. So it hasn't really been talked about, but there's new itemization within this, which gives you a stat called elemental bonus, which is obscenely overpowered and can like double your effectiveness in combat effectively.
From BA though.
Well, you can set yourself up to get that though.
Yeah.
So if you've got the capital, you can buy the materials to trade in for the Kieran's items or the Vermilion cloaks, and you can meld that and get your elemental gear for your class to +1. just through finishing your Logos actions and then upgrading them with crystals from Hydatos, so that when you go in there, you can get the fragments and upgrade your left-hand side to +2. Getting that elemental bonus is the biggest benefit that you can give yourself outside of anything, really. If you're killing the bosses, you get this of it. Just the elemental bonus, the gear is going to carry you really hard. Other than that, it's just watching vids, familiarizing yourself with fights, and just being part of a community that's actually going to come together and do this.
Yeah. And you got to be brave. You got to be brave, man. You got to go in there and be like, well, I know everything now, and I'm afraid I'm going to fuck up, but I mean, it's just what it is.
Yeah, and the de-leveling, it's not too bad.
Yeah. I can't
you level up back so quickly in Hydatos that, like, if you don't worry about losing that half a level, it's NBD.
No.
Yeah. You can get it back before Ovni spawns again.
By the way, I gave Layla Sofa. I'm gonna call you Sofa now. I gave you guys mods just so you can post the links to Discords and everything and not get timed out. So whenever you guys feel like you're able to, feel free to add it in chat here so people can get to them if they want to.
Sure, I'll link it in chat if Sfia hasn't already. This is for the Aether data center only. I don't have access to Primal or Chaos or Gaia or anything or Elemental. It's public Discord. You know, it's still very much being worked on. Big work in progress right now. I think it gets improved at least every day. Feedback is very much appreciated on things that work well, things that don't work well. But there are a couple sticky announcements in there that kind of guide you along like the best way to like succeed in it. But I'll paste it in chat here. And yeah, if you're on Aether and you want to do BA pugs, hop in.
Yeah, make your life 10 times easier. All right. Anyone else has anything else they want to kind of talk about before we finish up the show?
One thing they need to change, I don't think we brought this up, is that when you first go through the portals into the BA,
jobs.
There's a place where you can set your logograms, you can change your Magia board, but you cannot change your job.
You need to be able to change jobs in there.
That's something SE really needs to adjust. Like, that needs to be a town area right there where you can change your job, because right now, it's the biggest barrier, I think, to this thing being completely puggable, where it's just like, oh, whoever goes in, just go with them, because you could have no healer zone in and it's over.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually a big thing that I forgot. Thank you for bringing that up. That is probably one of the biggest changes that needs to happen before anything else even. The fact that you can't change jobs inside just seems like a big oversight.
Yeah.
You could zone in with not even the correct number of tanks to complete the instance. So
and they have this in like all content right now where you can change jobs basically if things just don't look right. Like even in front lines, you can change your job.
If I can give them like any direct feedback in any way, shape, or form, like this is #1 priority. Like absolutely #1.
Okay.
Runs live or die based on what kind of jobs are able to zone in.
Okay. Fair enough. Layla, do you have any other final points?
No, other than I think I guess I would. I very much enjoyed this content. I'll emphasize, I was level 24 like 2 weeks ago. I was so sick of Eureka Pagos that I just blacklisted everything Eureka from my brain for the remaining year and a half. But as soon as they announced the public dungeon, I was like, that sounds really cool. So I leveled up a lot before the patch, compressed it all in a week and a half period, and I was really glad I did. I think that the community style content is personally worth leveling up for. I think Eureka is fun enough to, if you have people to do it with, be it a community or be it a group of friends, I think it's worth leveling up for. If you haven't, the previous zones are really easy to get through now. And what I would do is I would say that we all look forward to this style of content again in the future, because they've clearly learned a lot from these 4 iterations of Eureka, and I'm hoping that they're going to put it all together into some awesome, really big, cool exploration pie in 5.0 and make something really. There's a lot of good in here. There's a lot of bad that they need to address, but there's also a lot of good that they should take from. Other than that, everybody at Aether, shout out to them. We all kicked ass this week, getting it done and getting it organized and stuff. And I appreciate everybody working together and like working with us. And I guess that's it.
My thing doesn't work. I can't shout you out. I don't know what to do, man. It's all right. They can see your Twitch name right there, right? It's Klops GG.
If you're gonna shout out a link, just the Discord link for the is what I would want to plug more than anything.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Sfia.
No more closing comments.
Okay, go ahead and do you have any shout outs or anything else that you want to say?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All the people that helped us, especially.
Yeah.
It was definitely a community thing. I think Layla touched on that, but couldn't have done it without Perez, especially. That guy is just a people wrangler, apparently.
It wasn't even like we asked him to do it too. He was just like,
"Yeah, I got this.
Somebody's got to do this. I'll do it. Don't worry, I got it." So it was cool.
The
awesome.
FC, big ups to them. Everyone showed up every day. Sometimes stupid hours.
Crack of dawn.
Yeah,
we were up at the crack of dawn.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and cheers for having us on as well, Frosty.
Of course. And guys, you can check him out at his stream, which I have his Twitch there at the bottom, but I'm just going to go ahead and link it here too. There we go. If you guys want to follow him and see his exploits for whatever else, I want to do it for Layla too. I'm not going to do it for...
exploiter?
Balana
sorry.
thing I was breathing into the microphone, so I apologize for that.
No, I heard it. I was like, it's not as bad enough to say anything, so I'm just going to...
I got a new mic, and I didn't know where to put the microphone. Okay, just don't...
know you got a snouls. I
got a big schnoz, dude. It's right there. It's right there. You see it? There's a lot of air going through those passageways, all right?
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay. You can just breathe well. That's nothing bad about that. Balana?
Yeah, big thanks to everybody who was directing traffic and pulling the strings for BA for these clears, because I luckily I just sat back and like whatever, let them handle it. Layla's like doing all the calls and Perez is like wrangling people in the groups, and just all these people are putting all this effort. I'm like, wow, I just kind of show up here, just kind of do some damage. Also, big thanks to everybody who did not take a portal. You guys
Yeah, had self-restraint.
Yeah, and also killing that support NM. We had a lot of people who were just kind of in there cheering us on and
That's awesome.
killing that thing. Yeah.
Can't forget the 3 people who stayed behind and killed OVNI while all of us flee to the point of portal spawns. Yeah.
We might have accidentally reset that once with getting a little too overzealous on leaving in time to get to the
definitely
portal.
reset OVNI once on accident.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. We didn't mean to.
If you guys want to follow him, I have his stream in chat too. Balana does stream. He did a whole bunch of Kingdom Hearts stuff recently. He's just a...
I stream every now.
Balana's actually a full-time Kingdom Hearts streamer, if you guys are into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Follow.
Apparently.
But okay. Guys, thank you all for being on the show. It meant a lot. You guys are amazing. I love having all of you on the talk every single time. I don't think I have a show that you guys are on that I'm like upset. I'm like, I can't believe Layla came on and was such a shit today. No.
Shut up, Frosty.
God damn it. But no, I appreciate you guys coming on. I appreciate all the viewers out there watching the show. Everyone who followed, whatever you guys did here, any kind of support's great. And then also, thank you very much to Kerr being in the background, all of my emotional support, keeping me happy, content. It means a lot to me. Also, Blizana for the artwork on the show, and Andre Kane for the music that we use in the closing and the outro. I have a handful of shows that I have lined up that I haven't really finalized who's going to be on them or when they're going to happen. I expect to have a MogTalk next week. But some of the topics that we're going to be discussing, one is the TOS, of course, and talking about Final Fantasy XIV and Care Bear conversations or whatever, like, oh, we're coddling people. We need to have that kind of conversation, I think, and I'd like to have see what we come out with that.
Sorry to interject. I'll be interested to hear like what your guys' thoughts are on that show about how Eureka affected that TOS.
Yeah, Eureka. I have my own insights about PvP that does that, because that's a big grief. People just leaving matches and screwing over everyone else on it. There's a lot of other areas where it gets kind of messy. But I'm interested to talk about that. The other conversations, we need to have a PvP show at some point. There's some PvP events coming up that I figured that we could talk about and have that little niche show that a small community can come together and just talk. Then we have another show that's going to be a little bit more broader than Final Fantasy XIV, because there's a lot of conversations on... I think that come up about streamers and the relationships they have with their viewers and kind of how all of that interlines and what we're seeing with streams today and having these healthy relationships. I think that's something that we need to talk about. Then there was one more. I think we're gonna have a post JP FanFest show, I'm sure, of course, afterwards. But stay tuned for that, guys. Oh, resident sleeper motherfuckers in chat. Every time, it's like the meme that doesn't end. But yeah, guys, please come back next week. I'll probably post it on Twitter what we're gonna be talking about and who's gonna be on the show. Besides that, you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and stay tuned for our hosts. We'll find out who we're going to do it to. Guys, have a wonderful night and day. Bye, guys. Bye. Everybody say bye.
I'm waving, I promise.
Better be waving.